No Democratic lawmakers are celebrating this. You're comparing the Republican Congress and the Republican president to 11 follower accounts on Twitter.
I mean, that's right. 100% right about that.
Brother, you're in this like presidency cock-lordery because Donald Trump
it's called politics. Because real life isn't just the Twitter accounts you see.
Why are you always reverting back to what Donald Trump is doing it?
Come on. I can't believe that. People that say stuff like that, it reminds me of like, bro, Trump lives rent-free in your brain, bro. I shouldn't be thinking about the president of the United States very much. Off the top of my head, who was the largest left-winger that like celebrated Charlie Kirk's death? Like the largest, most prominent left-winger in government and media. To be honest with you, I can't even think of one. I mean, Destiny's obviously been spitting for like the last like 20 minutes straight. He still loses me when he starts talking about this game theory shit that you guys are talking about. When he says something like the left shouldn't disavow the violence. So he's saying that the Bernie message, he's saying the Bernie message was cucked. That is where you lose me. I could not disagree more. D is not saying to not condemn. He literally said that like 15 minutes ago. Why are you making up a new thing? It's okay, Hutch, you don't like Destiny. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't go looking for ghosts when there are none. How am I bringing in my personal opinion of Destiny to what he's saying? You just heard me agree with him for like 30 minutes.
The issue is that over the past 10, 15 years in the United States, conservatives have been infinitely ramping up the violent rhetoric over and over and over again. But every time it happens, the casual centrist crowd, so the Joe Rogans or the Asmund Golds or people like you, seem to think that they're not doing this at all, and all of the violence is only coming from the left.
Well, and I have never portrayed my audience ever like that, and I've never postured myself like that ever.
Okay. Do you agree that most of the violent rhetoric right now is coming from Donald Trump and the right?
As in what?
As in, when Donald Trump, somebody tried to shoot at him, Biden came out and made a speech, and Biden said, everybody needs to calm down. This isn't okay. We don't shoot our opponents. But when Donald Trump made a speech yesterday...
Lower the volume. We want to still have ears. Sorry, hold on.
Left Democrats, even though we have no idea who the shooter even is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll agree to that. Just to continue the conversation. I feel like like putting these things like that or whatever. I'm not in the field of politics, whatever, of like finding out who's more at fault or not at fault or whatever. I don't really care about that. I didn't think the whole thing is senseless and dog shit. That's where I'm at.
Isn't that like literally the most opinion to have, though?
I don't think it's
if somebody killed somebody else and they said it was in self-defense, isn't it kind of important to figure out what the fact of the matter is before you know if they had the right to kill somebody or not?
I mean, this part of the conversation, I'm sure I'm going to agree with Destiny on, in terms of correctly identifying that the vast majority of like deaths as a result of political extremism have come from far-right extremists in recent years. Like, it's not even close. And I don't even disagree that most of the dehumanizing and violent rhetoric that we're seeing in the modern era does come from conservatives broadly. Obviously, neither Destiny nor myself would make the case that it's not a problem on the left, because it fucking is. But it's so much more mainstream. I mean, like, we don't even like take a look at like there was a collection of Kyla posted it, not so erudite, bro. She had like a collage of all of the really intense. Like, hold on, let me just show you this. Matt, is his name Matt Walsh? Matt Walsh, like just not even a subtle dog whistle to do violence. Like just very plain as day stochastic terrorism.
Over the past 24 hours, I've seen some in the media, some of the very same people who intentionally stoked murderous hatred against people like Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk specifically, now saying that we need to turn down the temperature and start having conversations. Well, Charlie tried to have conversations with you on the left.
It's the grouping language that's the problem. That's the problem. I mean, there's many problems, but that's the main problem. It's the grouping language. This is tribalism manifest. This is the perfect example of what tribalism causes in people's minds. It's just a big group of people, and you're all that. You're all that thing. And so therefore, you all did this one thing. You all killed Charlie Kirk, and therefore we all need to do something about you all. It's really dangerous.
You killed him for it. You're killing us in our churches. You tried to kill our president.
I'm not, and I didn't. I have nothing to do with any of that. Nothing, you know.
Killed one of our greatest advocates in Charlie Kirk. You have been openly cheering for and celebrating and encouraging and committing political violence for years. Antifa, BLM, well-funded, highly orchestrated, widespread movements based in and fueled by...
There was a guy, bro, who was sentenced to prison today who killed... He was a Republican guy who lost an election and then killed like 4 Democrats that got sentenced to prison today. Who am I talking about, guys? He just got sentenced to prison today. A right-wing guy doing political violence. He murdered Democrats and he got sentenced to prison today. I don't think he's lying. I think he literally deluded himself, and I think they all delude themselves into thinking that right-wingers don't do political violence. It is crazy. One of the most infamous attacks, terrorist attacks, domestic terrorist attacks, actually the most infamous domestic terror attack in our country's history was from a right-wing nut job who was pissed about Waco and Ruby Ridge. Timothy McVeigh. How many people did he kill? How many people died? Wasn't it hundreds or thousands?
By violence. You made a hero out of Luigi Mangione, and you celebrate Charlie's death even now. It's too late to turn the temperature down. This is not a time to hold hands. It's a time for justice. This is a time for good to fight back against evil. It is time for...
What does that even mean for a private civilian? Like, what does that even mean?
The righteous...
We have law enforcement for this thing. We have the judicial system. We have the courts. We have a system to deal with people that commit acts of violence like this. How are you going to contribute to this? Like, what are you even talking about?
To prevail. For the sake of our country and for our families and our children.
I mean, it's just really disturbing. Really fucking disturbing. Millions of people feel that way right now. God damn, I hope the temperature goes down. You know, thank God this guy was caught. I think like this guy getting caught is going to help to bring the temperature down. God forbid if that guy was never found, this would have just been this open fucking gaping, festering wound. Thank God this guy was caught. I mean, that's going to cause all kinds of other dysfunctional rhetoric as conspiracy theories pour in and fucking whatever. But
I mean, I mean, I think now we're like going away from like
not going away from anything. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that
topic of what just happened.
I'm saying that
there's no justification of of murder. It's not. There's no.
This guy claims to be a Christian, and he's asking his cult leader to give him permission to go door to door. I don't even think I can show you this. Pretty sure this violates TOS. What a crazy Reddit post I'm looking at here. This guy claims to be a Christian, and he's asking his cult leader to give him permission to go door to door to unalive people he disagrees with. That's the other part of this too, is like, I have no faith that our Justice Department right now is taking the threat of right-wing extremism seriously. I have no faith that the FBI is, they should be combing through social media right now. I have seen so many open calls to violence, just open calls to violence on my social media feed. Like dozens of videos of people just very not even, it's not ambiguous, it's not subtle, just like, we're going to fuck people up, you know? And I have no faith that the Justice Department is focusing on that at all right now, which is another scary part.
Talking about that, I'm saying that if in a case where somebody kills somebody else, if somebody were to claim self-defense, it's important to know the fact of the matter, right? You wouldn't just say, oh, well, you should never kill anybody if somebody killed somebody in, we'll say, in the Rittenhouse circumstance or in some police shooting or whatever else, right? You kind of need to know the facts of the matter to have an opinion on.
In a scenario like that, yes, but
okay.
I don't think that we're even approaching that, but go ahead.
You don't think we're at a state right now in the United States of America where Donald Trump is making threats to states to send in the National Guard, where he's already forcibly deployed the National Guard in states and then the Marines to California, when has the feds running around arresting people in masks, when we have Alligator Alcatraz down in Florida, when we've invoked the Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelans with no due process, when we're showing videos of blowing up boats in the ocean and bragging about murdering 11 people who we think were drug dealers with no due process or any investigation at all, when we're talking about...
I'm from the UK, and the US laugh at us for arresting people with violence, promoting social posts. Are you suggesting the US should follow suit? We have laws against inciting violence in the US. You guys have way stricter speech laws than we do, because you can say something general like, I think such and such group or, you know, I don't know. Actually, I don't know specifics of like the laws of incitement, but you can say general things like somebody deserves to die. But if you cross a line and start talking about like actually doing violence or encouraging others to do violence, like we definitely have laws against that here in the United States.
About paying $10 million.
And I've seen about a fucking 6 videos in the last 48 hours of people that for sure are breaking the law.
Rewards to arrest foreign leaders in Venezuela.
Well, the Walsh video was vague enough that that's protected speech. You know, that's not illegal. He can say that, but it's just such a not so subtle dog whistle for people to do extreme actions right now. You know, we don't think we're there yet. When we just named the Department of Defense the Department of War to show how epic it is. When we make jokes about invading Greenland or the Panama Canal. When we brag about successfully bombing places in Iran.
So if I agree with you on everything like that, right?
Sure.
It doesn't take away from anything that I've said or...
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Trump, we should watch this clip. You guys have been linking it 1,000 times. So here, hold on.
Well, we have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me.
There's the Governor Cox response, which is the correct response. I'll just reiterate. Governor Cox in Utah has very much impressed me, and he has demonstrated, I think, basically the perfect way to use your position of authority in leadership to calm people down. He just did a really good job of that. Very good example. Many such cases of leaders who, that's your job in that situation. If there's an act of political violence, the job of people that are in leadership positions in politics is to appeal to people's better angels so as to reduce the likelihood of further violence. And he does the fucking opposite of that every fucking time he opens his mouth.
In trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radical
country. How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
I can't even begin to tell you how dangerous that is. We're talking about people, random people posting TikToks that I find to be quite distasteful and disgusting. This is a million times worse than that. The president of the United States giving a permission structure for extremist right-wing violence. That's what this is. That's exactly what this is. It's not out of character for him. He's already done this 1,000 times. He did it in Charlottesville with the fucking very fine people on both sides. He did it for January 6 people. He fucking blanket pardoned everyone involved in January 6. Not only did he pardon them, but he told the world they didn't do anything wrong. They were patriots. They loved their country. This is a million times worse than all of the TikToks from all of those liberals and leftists combined making fun of Charlie Kirk. This is so much worse than that because it comes from him, because it came from the president, dude.
Worried about the border. They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy, although they want men and women sports.
Okay.
How I've connected myself around the topic of what just happened. I think they're two separate topics.
Do you understand how infuriating it is when one side is saying this over and over and over again? We'll never back off a single point. We'll never
It's
apologize.
infuriating, but you have to be better. If you don't like what they're doing, you have to be better. Here's what it is.
Okay.
Just be better.
If you and me both have a log that we're trying to set on fire, you're holding a match and I'm holding a match, would you just tell me to extinguish my match and the log won't catch fire? Does it work that way? You understand that doesn't do anything, right? It has to be both sides. It can't just be one side. If one side does it, then they just go extinct. That's not a winning strategy. There's nothing moral about that. If anything, it's immoral to do that, right?
But for me, it's more about the use of language and dialogue and all that.
See, this is what I have an issue with, you know? Like, I think Destiny is setting up this false binary, and he seems to be under the impression that the left needs to engage in reciprocal violent rhetoric in order to be competitive with Republicans. I just don't understand that perspective at all. Like, there are other options. You can conduct yourself in a way other than mirroring what we're seeing from MAGA. And I would argue that there are the other ways that you can conduct yourself would actually stand a better chance of success in terms of galvanizing support for you guys and support away from Donald Trump. Curly with $5, be sure whenever you watch a Destiny clip to say you're not affiliated with him. Whatever. I don't care about that. People are gonna say that anyways, so there's no point. He's saying we need to extinguish the match. What does that mean? Not what he's saying. He's saying Dems are diffused the fire time and time again after Republicans are holding the lighter. Okay, hang on. What did he say? Hold on.
You're holding a match and I'm holding a match. Would you just tell me to extinguish my match and the log won't catch fire? Does it work that way? You understand that doesn't do anything, right? It has to be both sides. It can't just be one side. If one side does it, then they just go extinct. That's not a winning strategy. There's nothing moral about that. If anything, it's immoral to do that, right?
But for me, it's more about the use of language and dialogue and all that.
Wait. Use of language and dialogue. Who is the most divisive political leader right now when it comes to language and dialogue?
Okay, so you want me to say Donald Trump? I'll say Donald Trump.
Okay. How many times has Asmongold or you said Donald Trump needs to stop?
Well, I say this all the time.
Donald Trump needs to stop. Not everybody and the left. Not everybody and the radical left. Donald Trump needs to stop.
Yo. What we know it doesn't. That's not at all. Bro, I'm always critical of everybody's dialogue.
Donald
even the people
Trump,
that you think.
If I went to during the Warsaw Ghetto Massacre, if I went in and I saw the Jews fighting the Nazis, I was like, okay, all of you guys need to chill. Wouldn't that be really retarded? Wouldn't it be really stupid of me to say that?
Please don't throw some like historical or political references or whatever that I'm supposed to know. Like,
if I walked into a house and there was some guy was fighting against 10 other dudes who were all trying to stab him to death, and this one guy had like a knife and he was trying to fight back, and I walked in and was like, hey, I think both sides here need to stop. Wouldn't that be really dumb? If one side was constantly ratcheting it up over and over and over again, and one side was constantly throwing more and more oil on the fire,
but this point it kind of loses value, whatever, right? When it's about doing the act, though.
Again, guys, the sense that I'm getting right now, tell me if I'm wrong. The sense that I'm getting right now is that Destiny is making the argument that he's obviously talking about like unilateral disarmament as a concept, right? But what are we connecting this to specifically? Are we connecting it to his rhetoric? When I go to Destiny's page, there's a bunch of like very edgy jokes about what's happening here. Is he saying that those edgy jokes and like those that particular method of turning the temperature up is necessary to combat like MAGA and their rhetoric? That seems like you say he's about to explain. Okay,
that's the difference where it's at, right?
Why? How?
Well, I'm just saying. In this instance, somebody actually does that. They do that. Like they do the murder thing. That's no good.
Sure, but that's done, right? We want to stop future murders, right? So if we could only control one person's actions today to stop future murders, who's the one person that we would want to tell everybody to calm the f down the most?
Okay, so go mega hard on the people that do the acts. No. And you're very vocal about it instead of stirring the pot of like, no, they should be speaking about this. They should be speaking about that. They shouldn't be going around the pot. How about you be really harsh about people that do the murders and do the weird...
No, what a waste of time. No, we don't elect the president of the United States for every single person in the United States to act completely free and independent of what every other person says. There are thought leaders, there are political leaders, there are leaders of movements in this country. Why would we assume that every single individual person needs to be controlled and messed? Like, we would talk to the people that lead the country, wouldn't we? In that case, you don't care that Hassan says crazy shit, or you shouldn't get mad at me for making an edgy joke. Then apparently nothing we say matters. We should just go to the murderers themselves. Not to mention that's always retrospective, so we can only react to murders. We can't prevent any of them. Why is it so hard for you to just say, if Hillary Clinton or if Biden were president right now, would it be this hard for you to say, wow, Biden or Hillary really shouldn't say this shit and they should tell the left to calm the f down? Would you really have the same position?
Well, the Elizabeth Warren clip, to be clear, was based. She handled that question fucking perfectly.
Oh, please. Right. Why don't you start with the President of the United States, right? And every ugly meme he has posted and every ugly word.
Yeah, that is completely appropriate to point out. I agree with that. But she's not going on Twitter and like cracking jokes about like trying to figure out like the funniest, edgiest, wittiest joke to make about the murder. There's obviously a difference there. No, that's not just his point, though, you guys. That's not, stop. I feel like you guys are now gaslighting me. That's not just his point. Destiny is also trying to justify the extent to which he ratchets things up on his feed. And he's saying, well, you need to start with Donald Trump before you talk to him. And maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the bait. Maybe that's part of the bait. Like he does the edgy stuff to bait this kind of reaction. So then he can turn around and say, well, you know, you need to start with Trump. But what I'm arguing is that you can do that and not take it as far as he does. I think the extent to which Destiny takes it is too far. I think it's counterproductive, in my opinion.
Bro, I
don't believe you because it's such an obvious that if you get, I don't care what you get called. I don't care what you get called. In any world, it would be so obvious to an impartial observer that Donald Trump, who has stoked the flames in real ways, like pardoning people that have committed crimes for him on his behalf, in implicit ways, like inviting people to do crimes, like when he invites people to the Capitol to overthrow the fucking government, and then in rhetorical ways, when he's constantly making jokes about putting Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad and Second Amendment jokes and everything else, right? This guy should probably call the fuck.
I agree with all that, and I think that's dangerous language. And I am always vocal about dangerous language and loaded.
I'm not talking about dangerous language. I'm talking about a person who's doing it. Nothing you say matters if you're not willing to call out the person doing it.
Okay, then I think I'm a pretty good actor on that front. I think people will mostly agree with that.
So I can find a single example of you saying Donald Trump really needs to fuck off with this. He needs to stop. Donald Trump, not everybody.
1,000,000%. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
The fuck is that? You have something on the case and then you can go find one. I mean,
I've never heard it before. Maybe it has happened somewhere. I've never heard you say it in my entire life. I've certainly never heard
1,000,000%.
Okay.
What's more too far, Destiny's Twitter or the president's messages? Obviously the president, like by an order of like million, it's like 1,000,000 times worse. But that's such a horrible argument. That's such a horrible argument to make. I could make that argument to I could make that argument to justify like any kind of behavior. You guys realize that? I could do anything like any immoral act and then just point to like a serial killer and be like, which one is worse? I don't understand what you're even implying with that argument.
If that is
Donald Trump, you act like I'm not critical of this guy. Like I'm associated. Like most of what he says is a fucking brain dead. Most of the dialogues and lines of the song are like some sub-zero IQ shit.
No,
most of it.
No, you're doing it right now, and you don't even realize you're doing it. It's not brain dead, and it's not sub-zero IQ. It's evil. It's driving people to violent action. It's encouraging violence. It's inviting violence. That's not just stupid. You're downplaying it right now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to retailer the dialogue for this one specific argument. Yeah, I do that as a pattern of behavior. Don't retwist this as a no. This is different. No. You ask me if I ever do this. I give you an example of how I do that. Don't revert back to the main topic and be like, oh, gotcha. What a stupid fucking thing you're doing right now. Like, what problem with your IQ? Did it fall off your fucking shoulders or what? Your brain's cooked though. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're just backtracking for no reason.
Who's backtracking?
You backtracking for no reason.
I didn't backtrack. Why? Because you said that Trump was. And I'm trying to tell you, it's not that he's just stupid. It's that his language, his rhetoric is leading to violence, like in a very real and predictable and obvious way.
You can't change the timeline and say, name me a thing where you've done that. And now you're doing this. Like, you can't just swap the fucking timeline on me and be go, gotcha. Like,
no, I just said, do you call it Trump? And you said, what?
Am I the only one that I have a hard time following xQc? But like both, it's number one, it's like kind of hard to understand him sometimes. But number two, I just have a hard time like piecing together the sentence.
Well, yeah, I think I call him out all the time. I say he's retarded or sub-zero IQ. I was like, it's not that he's retarded. I'm not asking you to say he's stupid. I'm saying you have to call out that his rhetoric leads to violence.
Yes. Yeah. I call it between dangerous language and stupid lines of dialogue and deliberately irresponsible. And yes, I use those words all the time. It's not some crazy new thing for me. Like, what?
Okay. Do you acknowledge that like right now the right is driving up right now? Like they're all praying for some kind of like left like counterattack. They want like the right to assassinate somebody, right? Including Donald Trump. Donald Trump is doing that.
I see all of them, and it's fucking weird.
Why weird? It's not weird. It's horrible. It's terrible. What do you say? Hassan is weird when he's fucking supporting terrorism? Like, why the weak language? It's not weird. It's horrible. It's abhorrent. It's irresponsible. It's insanity. It's calling for basically violence. I've seen like 20 different right-wingers on fucking Twitter today on their mainstream media and alternative media platforms all calling for violence.
Yeah. So I'm having a casual conversation with you and not using the exact word that is of that nature. You act like I'm doing this deliberately, and it's like, oh no, dude, I use the terminology correctly all the fucking time. And people show you examples. Buddy, it's actually inside out of everybody, right? That you think that I'm not like this. When I'm one of the most anti-violence person you probably know of.
Being anti-violence is...
Scott with $10, search this game theory problem will change how you see the world. That is what Destiny is trying to explain to X.
a virtue. When one side is doing it more than the other, what you're saying is just empty. You're better off saying nothing. You're hurting more than helping. When you come into a situation where one side is being 90% of the violence and the other side is 10%, and you're like, I just want everybody to calm down. You're not helping. You're hurting at that point. You're feeding into the delusion that the right wing wants everybody to believe that it's like either both sides. They don't even say both sides. They just say it's always the left.
I disagree. I disagree. If you make it a point, to always call out whatever the side it is, whatever and to always sound out business about the topic. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to fucking conduct yourself in that way without being a virtue cucklord. What about it? It's not some. How is that hard to understand?
You have to understand that when you say that, you're just supporting the person who's winning. It's a status quo reinforcement, even if you don't realize it. If you go to Ukraine, Russia, and you're one of the people who's like, I just want the violence to stop. Who gets mad at that and who loves that? Russia loves that, and the Ukrainians get mad at that. What do you mean you just want the violence to stop? Fuck you, we've lost half our country. If you go to Israel, Palestine, you say, we just want the violence to stop. Who gets mad at that, right? The Palestinians say, we don't even do violence. That's all it is.
Nosa with 11 euro. The right is now calling for war, while the left is condemning the violence. Destiny has done that the left always have to, while the right, seems to be encouraged to keep on stoking the flames. I am really having a hard time with the premise here. I am having a hard time with it. This binary choice of like join MAGA and try to mirror their rhetoric or go further than their rhetoric, or roll over and surrender the country to MAGA. I do not think that this binary is a real thing. I think that there are so many other ways that you can conduct yourself that calls attention to what MAGA is doing, confronts that, addresses it, identifies it, condemns it. He's not saying to escalate. He's just saying that he won't turn it down until they do. Okay, that's his decision. It isn't to mirror the rhetoric. It's don't constantly apologize. I'm not advocating. I am not advocating for people on the left to cuck themselves into oblivion by constantly like apologizing for the actions of like extremists. I'm certainly not saying that. Fancy Teeth with 5 Canadian righties won't change their behavior because it benefits them. It all needs to stop, but it should not happen unilaterally. They've lost their humanity. How do you personally and the community / country that you live in, how do you benefit from similarly sacrificing your humanity? Like, how does that make you better? How does that benefit you in any way? To be fair, I think we will see MAGA describing and comparison of Trump to authoritarianism as being a call to violence. It's about calling out divisive rhetoric and not allowing it to go unchallenged. The response does not have to be identical. It needs to be equitable and kind. How do you not understand that? That I do understand. When you phrase it like that, I do understand. I agree with that. I'm completely on the same page when it comes to that. What does that have to do with like the super edgy jokes? Don't forget what Elon Musk and Andrew Tate said. Oh yeah, Jesus Christ. It's fucking getting bleak out there.
Israel, fuck you guys. They're stealing our shit.
We do not want a civil war or the equivalent, but if the other side does explicitly want a civil war, what can we do? You have to be prepared for an enemy that wants to destroy their enemy. I mean, what specifics are we talking about there? Like, are we talking about literally preparing? Are we talking about like arming ourselves, taking like firearm lessons? Like, what are we doing? What does that have to do with like rhetoric? Separate Destiny's actions and what he's saying about the situation. Okay, I can do that. Tyler with $10. Destiny's saying that the left can denounce, but the focus should be on Trump and conservative media because he holds all the cards. I feel like we're having two separate conversations right now. Because all of that, I agree with. Destiny is saying that the left can denounce, but the focus should be on Trump and conservative media because he holds all the cards, saying both sides when he is the number one problem and downplays his complicity. I don't think that you're ever going to get at the problem or get at any kind of solution without addressing the broad problem of hyperpolarization. I agree 1000%. If you take someone like Joe Biden, for example, and then you compare him to someone like Donald Trump, these people could not be more different in how they respond to national tragedies. With Joe Biden, every single fucking time there was any kind of natural disaster, tornado, hurricane, massive fires, mass shootings, you never had to worry about that guy. You never had to worry about Joe Biden fanning the flames of hyperpolarization and division. You always knew he was going to get up there and say whatever he could say to try to unite the country. And he never played politics with federal aid. I mean, he was so different in how he operated compared with Trump, who uses every single tragedy without fail. It is always filtered through a prism of cynical political gamesmanship. Any kind of tragedy, he is thinking about himself first and foremost. How can I use this situation to make myself look good and punish my enemies if there's an opportunity to do that? So in terms of division in this country, political division, I think it is very accurate to say that the responsible party, or the party that bears more responsibility, is certainly Donald Trump first and foremost, and then MAGA. I think like they very much represent the vast majority of the way that the rhetoric has escalated, and now political violence has like escalated as well. I don't disagree with that, but I think that's a separate conversation than what I'm talking about. I mean, I can keep watching. Perhaps there's different context. I did see this collage, right? I mean, this is another thing that's really important to the discussion as well, like vitally important to the discussion. I mean, just all in unison, like the most prominent right-wing accounts, not technically all of them, but like most of them, released the statement that's basically like they're ready for war, like they're ready for actual war. I mean, we can just keep watching the video here. 5 Canadian, did I already get you? On the lefty memorial statue, it will say, at least we lived our values. The right needs to meet us halfway. No violence, but no self-flagellation. I 100% agree with you. 1000%. We should not cuck ourselves into submission. We should not give ground to right-wing narratives that this is a left-wing problem of political violence. It's fucking absurd. It's ridiculous. We should challenge that. Even in moments like this, where there was this like horrific murder and tension, like emotions and tensions are really high. We should never in a million years cuck ourselves into even hinting that there's any validity to the claims that left-wing violence is a unique problem to like political violence or whatever.
Right?
So how is your behavior a solution then? You're saying a lot of problems, not a solution.
The solution
how is your behavior a solution?
I can tell you, the solution is the right has to disavow their end. It's so obvious that when you look at what's going on, Donald Trump should be able to come out and say, hey, everybody, all of us, we're all being fucking insane, and everybody needs to calm the fuck down. Without saying Joe Biden, without saying the radical leftist Democrats, without even knowing who the fuck the shooter is, Donald Trump should very easily be able to say, everybody needs to calm the fuck down right now. He can't do that. Not only do they not disavow what they do, he constantly forgives it, and the whole right constantly make excuses for it. They don't know anything that they do.
Okay. Agreed. And does that fix the problem?
No, but it's better for both sides to be violent than to just sit there and endure the violence, because that just leads to a total eradication of your side.
So do you make it a point for you? Let's say, because if you're going to hold people to a standard, you have to hold yourself to the same standard, right? Mm-hmm. Do you make to denounce people that use bad language, the fucking leftist radical fucking dog shit call for violence is, do you make it a point for you to call these people out there when they do this shit? Is that
Destiny? I would assume so.
Is that what you said on them? Do you actually do that?
Generally, yeah. Less so now, though. Not when the Republicans are doing it. I think it's immoral to sit there and hand wring on the left. Now my statement is, I don't think anyone on the left should say shit about it until Donald Trump does.
So for everybody, it's no, they have to do it like that. But for you, it's not. But now it's this. But now it's that. So how did they get that shield and that grace or that charitability, right? What that you're giving yourself? Why don't they get that?
They've had that charitability for 5 years. What are you talking about? They've had the charitability for 3 election cycles, and they've done nothing with it. Even today, they will not call out their side ever. They deny it even happens. They think that Jan 6 was a Fedsurrection. The Minnesota lawmaker that just got killed, like a month ago or 2 months ago, they said that person was killed by a radical leftist. It wasn't. It was conservative. Both the guys that tried to kill Trump were probably conservative. At least one of them was.
Don't do this thing.
See, you're doing it right now. You're doing it right now. At least admit it. At least admit it. XQC, good. XQC, call it what you want.
Identity politics. How is that identity politics? It's just a fact. I mean, the second guy, the one on the golf course, I'm pretty sure he was like a Nikki Haley Republican, right? Fuck, how do I find information about this guy? Hold on. I'm going to cheatsy doodle. Ruth is reported to have voted for Trump in 2016, but later expressed regret for that decision. In a self-published ebook from 2023, he wrote, "I'm man enough to say I misjudged. I made a terrible mistake. Calling his support terrible mistake." Independent and disillusioned. In notes sent after his arrest, Ruth criticized both the Republican and Democratic parties, describing them as conspiratorial and aligned against most independent candidates. He compared himself to previous Trump unalive attempt suspect, calling both ready to die for freedom and democracy. He also categorized himself as aligned more with independent political beliefs outside the party duopoly. We've said it 1,000 times in the last couple of days. Like, very oftentimes the people that are motivated enough to, do acts of violence like this or attempt acts of violence like this have politics that are either incoherent or just so mishmashed that it's impossible to neatly fit them into one sort of label or another. The dude was a nut job talking about gathering donations to go to Poland, buy F-16s, and fly them to Moscow.
Call it what you want, but if you're watching me or Hassan or you or Aiden, right? Yeah, do it, dude. That's great. I know it's epic for you. It's epic. It's epic. I hope that you repeat the video of one of us getting our fucking heads blown off, and you sit here and you do the same both sides shit. It's it's the most cucked fucking position in the world. You're such a fucking loser.
Swanee Bird calling for the war over the left-wing violent extremism, then denouncing identity politics when the violence was actually right-wing is the problem. Yeah, that's exactly what he did, by the way.
Holy shit.
You're gonna say probably a Republican, but when you get mad at somebody if somebody says, well, probably a trans shooter, what's the difference? You're making a pattern to do these.
I mean, they're talking past each other. Destiny's also obviously talking about like a 30,000 foot fucking top down view of the situation. And it seems like XQC is just fucking defaulting to NPC talking points. It's just, I don't even know what point he's making here. If somebody could articulate that, I have no fucking idea what he's actually trying to say. It seems like he feels like stuck, and so he's just kind of just flailing,
Bro, I know that you and Train like to victimize yourself all the time. Do you know what I'm perm banned for from Twitch on? Hold on. What do you think I'm perm banned from Twitch for? X, you're really going to use this on me?
Attack my argument.
Your argument is that I wouldn't call out trans people for being crazy? Remind me what I'm perma banned from Twitch from again.
No. I said that is not what I said. I said you're doing this. Probably a guy of this side, whatever, right?
We're having, by the way, that's what I call it at the beginning of the conversation. You don't want to address the facts.
Fucking rhetoric if people were saying, yo, probably a trans shooter, but like they always do. Like,
I'm not aware.
That's not, it's just, they're having totally different conversations right now. I don't understand what XQC is saying right now has anything to do with what Destiny is saying right now. Destiny is talking about the actual... The reality versus the narrative. Like, the narrative is that the left-wing violence is like this unique thing, and Destiny tried to demonstrate that in a couple different ways, and now he's like, you sound just like, Republicans when they say it was about a trans shooter. It's like, I don't think you're even responding to the point here.
I'm not aware. It's not a shield and a pass. I'm not aware of there being like radical trans violent groups of people. If there were, I'd probably tell them to not do that. I'm not aware of this huge movement of like trans radicalist violent people. I'm sorry, do these people exist somewhere and I've missed them? I feel like I fought with every fucking trans group on the fucking internet. Am I just missing these people?
No. Did you misunderstand what I said? What I said is people use these rhetorics all the time, but for you it's okay to say, oh, probably a Republican. I think there's a
Upseen with 2 years. I don't know how to feel about things anymore. I'm just fucking sad. That's where I'm at with things. Like, I get angry sometimes, but mostly the last couple days, I'm just fucking sad. It's like, I feel like if I was a kid who lived in a really toxic kind of household, and my parents had a really shitty relationship, and were constantly like really arguing. And then there was one fight that got really bad, maybe like the cops got called. Like, I feel like it's like the day after, mom and dad got in like a knockdown, drag out war, and you're just fucking sad. And you're just like, fuck, Old Scotty with 2 years. Tim Pool has been screeching civil war for years. That's true. Nosa, what if the right doesn't want to turn down the temperature? Well, I mean, obviously, we don't even need to do what if. Like, obviously, they don't want to turn down the temperature. And then the question is just like, who fucking knows? Who has the answer to that question? What do we do? I don't really know. You would ideally want to see a really strong leadership in the Democratic Party right now that are savvy enough to like change as many minds as possible so as to take political power away from the Republican Party. That's like our best shot, is the success of the Democratic Party. I think like just the way that I look at it is just I just ask myself, like, what can I individually do to not like cuck myself and give into Republican framing of what the problem is? I'm never going to do that. But like, what can I do to help turn down the temperature in my own like personal life, in my own like little way? I think that the answer to that question is going to be different for everybody. But I think it's like a question that we should all be asking for sure.
The pattern of behavior, it is a shit to do that. Wanna know why? Because you will probably get mad, respectfully so, right?
The Democratic Party has no one at the moment to stand up and do anything of the sort. That's the issue. I don't agree with that.
If people said, oh, probably another trans shooter, right? You would call them out if they said shit like that, right?
No.
But okay.
It's cause and effect. People are not randomly doing acts of violence against the left for random reasons. The guy that showed up at the Pelosi household said that he got radicalized first watching Gamergate videos and then started rattling off a bunch of right-wing QAnon conspiracy theories.
Yeah, he was a QAnon nut job.
The people that showed up at Jan 6 were there because Donald Trump called them to be there to protest the outcome of the election because he said it was fucking rigged. The guy that just got convicted today said that he thought that he needed to make an assassination plot to shoot up 4 Democratic lawmakers because he lost his election in New Mexico. He said it's because he thought...
That's the guy. I thought he actually did kill people. Was it a plot to kill someone?
The election was fucking rigged. The guy that just got convicted today said that he thought that he needed to make an assassination plot to shoot up 4 Democratic lawmakers because he lost his election in New Mexico. He said it's because he thought the election was...
New Mexico, convicted. New Mexico. Solomon Pena, former Republican candidate in New Mexico, was sentenced to 80 years in prison for orchestrating a shooting spree at the homes of 4 Democratic officials. Jesus. I read the headline wrong. I thought he had actually killed people.
Rigged. These are all Republican talking points. It's not random. You're acting like any random shooter is just a random guy that does random things for random reasons. It's not the case. It's
Hutch, protect your heart and soul, brother. That's the other side of this, man. That's the other side of this too. It's like there's this instinct or this impulse to view a situation like this purely through a political lens, and there's also the personal side of this. Not to sound a little bit cheesy with you guys, there's also like a spiritual side of this. I'm not talking about like a relationship with God or whatever, but like the question that I ask myself is like, what kind of person do I end up becoming in my day-to-day life, in my relationships, in my relationship with Esme, in my relationship with my family, with strangers? How do I see the world? All of these things to me really matter. And I'm just speaking of someone who's been in really dark places at various times in my adult life. It's just like a state of mind that I can only describe as like hell on earth. I've gone to very dark places and then stayed there for like months and years. And so in my older years, I just take whatever steps I can to prevent that from happening again. And so there's like a maintenance. There's like a daily maintenance to trying to keep my head right. And if I go to a place where I'm just filled with like boiling with rage, just constantly pissed, thinking about like the politics of this situation 24/7, thinking about like MAGA and their crazy shit, I turn into a very unhappy person. I turn into someone that's not very present in my relationship. It makes me very suspicious of other people. Makes me feel like isolated and alienated. And so to me, it's just not a very good option to just like fully commit to that anger. Again, I'm not perfect, and I do get angry quite a bit, and I act out quite a bit when I get angry sometimes. I am prone to intense rhetoric from time to time. So I'm not judging people very harshly or pretending like I'm above that, but just from a very practical perspective about like how to be a healthy, like happy person or content person, or at least someone who's not constantly just filled with rage. To me, it's counterintuitive to react to the Charlie Kirk shooting, for example, with like cruelty. If I do that, and if I just stay in that place of cruelty, I don't like the person I am when I do that. Can I ask how your dad reacted to this situation? I really don't know. I think like, what did he say? He said some people just go off the deep end. So I don't think he, that's a very reasonable reaction. We haven't talked about it, so I don't really know what his reaction is to that situation. But
very predictable where a lot of it is coming from.
Did Asmongold actually say that 90% of the violence is left wing? He did, yeah.
The guy that mailed out pipe bombs to 12 different Democratic people, George Soros, the Clintons, the Obamas, in 2018, was a QAnon or Donald Trump fan.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you're making it a side thing. So you're saying that this is not a thing that the left constantly prays and preaches this like, this act of violence, but it gives me a W. Fuck it, we're gonna catch a W. Fucking Luigi fucking is my hero type shit. You don't think this is a narrative that's constantly being portrayed all the time, and that's fine?
I don't think the Luigi stuff was good, but there aren't lawmakers on the left. You think that the left is Hassan Piker, who's an actual terrorist fuck. No Democratic lawmakers are celebrating this. You're comparing the Republican Congress and the Republican president to 11 follower accounts on Twitter.
I mean, that's right. 100% right about that.
Called "Give Me My Hormone 6969."
Nope. In this particular case, in this particular type of problem, inaction is just as bad as action. It is just as, because you're cashing in the W when it's your side gets a kill count plus 1 kill, but it's your side that got that. Oh, I don't know what that is. It's probably a misfire. The bullet landed on his head. Oh, guys, it's probably an accident.
You know what?
Some people maybe celebrating and misfired his gun. Oh my God, moving on.
Okay, sanity check. Sanity check. How many? Hold on. How many people did Donald Trump pardon for the J6 thing? It was all of them, right? How many people did Biden pardon for the BLM riots?
Brother, you're doing this presidency cocktalordery because Donald Trump won and knocked Kamala.
Because real life isn't just a Twitter account
you
you
always
see.
Reverting back to what Donald Trump is doing.
Oh my God.
Bro, it's one F.
Come on. I can't believe that. People that say stuff like that, it reminds me of like, bro, Trump lives rent-free in your brain, bro. The president of the United States? Hello? I shouldn't be thinking about the fucking president of the United States very much? We're calling that rent-free? Literally the most powerful person in the entire fucking world? Daz Vidani with $2 off topic. I hate the way that xQc speaks. I mean, that's just racism. Let's call a spade a spade.
You're so cucked. It's actually so cucked. Is it a requirement? Bro. What is the visa you're on? Is it the fucking sperm swallow visa that you have to suck off at least 10 conservatives in order to be down here in the United States? What the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, I hold the president of the United States. The president of the United States is more important with what he says than random fucking Twitter accounts. How is that really hard to understand?
Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
No, I don't think I missed several super chats. I don't think I did.
So, if you were to put a placeholder, let's say you fuck it. Kamala is in the president. She won. Make history different, and she calls out the violence all the time. this shit suddenly stops and then what the growing culture
yes, it would
of
probably lower a lot. Yes. Why do you think that all of the massive protests of the? Did you know that? Here's a fun stat: 7 of the largest protests in.
What is even xQc saying? If Kamala won and she would have, denounced violence, would that make the situation better? Yeah, like fucking obviously. Are you kidding me? Of course that would make it better.
7 out of the last 10 of them happened under Donald Trump's presidencies. Do you think it's random? Do you think that just happened to be by chance? This is a guy saying he could stop the invasion in Ukraine and he can't stop mass protests and riots in the United States? Tell me that's random before you say the next dumb thing. Just say at least, no, that was probably all random. That was just random. There was nothing Trump could have done about that.
What was random?
The fact that all the violent rioting, all of the fucking shit that's happening in our country, that so much of it is happening under Donald Trump. Do you think that's random? Do you think that Trump and Biden were just as inflammatory as each other?
Wait, I'm so confused. What is it? Is it statistically more violent things happening under Trump? What's
I'm
happening?
saying that of the last 10 huge protests, largest protests in U.S. history, 7 of them happened under Trump's presidency over the last 3 terms, and we're only 1 year into this one. Not even.
I think using a data sample of that size is genuinely irresponsible. I think it's irresponsible.
Okay, how would you measure?
Everybody intuitively understands that Donald Trump is by far the most inflammatory politician in maybe U.S. history. Maybe, probably. How do we compare him to like Jefferson Davis? He's like top 5 for sure. In the modern era, there's no he's the clear winner in the modern era.
How do you want to measure it? Politicians killed? Plots thwarted? Attempted political assassinations? Which one do you want to use? Tell me which one you want to use.
I guess maybe would we even call Jefferson Davis an American politician? I don't really know.
What I'm saying
what you're saying is that
go ahead, Mike, go ahead.
the right is speaking words I don't like and having narratives I don't like, but the left is the one carrying out actions of terrorism. So the right,
he's just not listening. I'm gonna lose my mind. It's just not pure. Like you can't. This is what we're up against, by the way. This is what we're up against. Like this crystallized, firmly held belief that the violence, the political violence that we're seeing in the United States that's becoming more and more common is a problem that is exclusive to the left. Like nothing you say seems to get through. They just so firmly believe this. Asmongold said something very similar. He said it was a 90-10 split. 90%, it's like the political extremism and the violent rhetoric is 90% of that is coming from left wingers, is what he said. And nothing seems to get through in terms of convincing them that this is not the case. In fact, it's literally the opposite of the case. I blame social media, I guess. That's what's going on.
is wrong, but if they just spoke better, it would all stop. Brother, it's like you moved to California again and you're eating the utopia pill. Like you have it all the way up your asshole. It's so stupid. It's brain dead. It's uneducated, and it's because you're portraying these narratives like it's the truth. It's insane. You've lost your mind.
So nothing any of our leadership says, none of that matters. It doesn't influence any behavior whatsoever. You don't think? It doesn't play into it at all. Despite the fact that all the people that commit these crimes say they did it because of QAnon, because of Donald Trump, because of the election fraud, because of the guy that just shut up the CDC, because of the COVID vax lies. None of that matters. Even though the people committing the crimes are telling you why they're doing it, they're actually all wrong. But xQc, you're right. It's just random.
I feel like it's how would you say result based. It's very result based thinking.
So then why are you telling anybody to not say anything at all? Why did Charlie Kirk just get killed then? Let's assume it was a left-wing shooter. That was just a random act of violence then? Why say anything at all? Why bother telling people to adjust their rhetoric at all if none of it actually matters?
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Like if Hassan should be able to say whatever he wants, I should be able to make whatever jokes on. Why should any of it matter online then? If what the president of the United States says doesn't influence people's actions, then why should anybody give a fuck about the violent rhetoric they use anywhere?
Well, I'm trying to unpack that real quick. Oh yeah, I mean that makes sense. That has validity. I absolutely agree that all these things should absolutely change. I was always on your camp on that it's all incredibly dangerous. All is absolute dog shit. But you have to make an effort to denounce and condemn the one that actually fires the gun. That is the problem.
That's not the problem, though. You think it's a problem, but it's not. Every large media outlet and lawmaker on the left has unequivocally called it out as bad. Every person on the right is calling for fucking war and vengeance.
Oh my, that's the utopia pill. I feel like you have. This is like.
What's the utopia pill? What's the utopia pill? What do you mean by that?
It's the leftist dumb fuck colored glasses. The left is calling this out. No, they have not. Bro, the way that they portray these things that happen.
Click this and show your stream. Click this and show your stream, and then you can find counterexamples. I got nothing else to do today. Go ahead. Click this, show your stream, and let's just walk through both pictures. And then you can do all the counterexamples you want, okay?
Yeah, I'm looking at your picture. What about it?
Left. Click the left one. On the top left, we've got former President Barack Obama. We've got former President Joe Biden. We've got huge international mainstream media figure Mehdi Hassan. Bottom left, alternative left-wing media figure.
Boy, what a kill shot. Jesus Christ. Take it easy on the poor guy.
Cenk Uygur. We've got hopeful presidential candidate, current Senator Bernie Sanders. We've got Mamdani from New York City.
Yeah, fucking Jacobin. That's a really good point. Jacobin, the largest socialist news outlet that exists in the country. Jacobin came out with an article condemning the violence.
We've got California Governor Gavin Newsom. We've got David Hogg, who is a DNC chair. We've got a representative, Pramila Jayapal, I can't pronounce her name. Huge center-left media figure, Brian Tyler Cohen. Center-left media figure, David Pakman, some of the largest people on the left wing on YouTube. We've got Crystal Ball. We've got Brian Krasenstein, huge fucking, Twitter lord, Hutch, fellow Twitch streamer for you, okay? Go to the next fucking picture. What do we
Wait, I was in that?
have from these people? These are some of the biggest right-wing accounts. You think that this is comparable? You think that both sides are doing the same thing? I can send you videos of people on the Daily Wire. If you want, we can go through Matt Walsh's response, where he says the time for playing nice is over. We can go through Ben Shapiro's response.
What you did, what you did unironically, you sat.
Was Ben Shapiro's response even that bad? Did he blame the left? I guess I didn't see the rest of it.
There at your computer, and you link me this shit that compares.
I'm on the same list as Obama. Okay, let's go.
Barack Obama to the libs of TikTok.
He's making the point that, like, we're talking about mainstream voices. We're talking about mainstream. Of course, I am very mainstream. Everybody knows who I am, right? But we're talking about mainstream voices. I don't know how I got landed on that list, right? But, like, apart from me, we're talking about mainstream voices in left-wing politics and left-wing media. There was basically universal condemnation of the violence. Like right away, you can find definitely far lefty accounts that were posting deranged stuff, but we're talking about mainstream lefties. And then all these accounts over here on the right, these are big influential voices for the most part. I mean, I don't know how influential Joey Monarino, whatever the fuck that guy's name is. I can't speak to everybody on this list, right? But like, you could find so many mainstream Republican voices that were basically saying like, fucking Civil War time, gear up, let's go. And then just every prominent left-wing voice basically on the left came out just very unequivocally condemned the language or the shooting.
Have had enough with your stupid dog shit.
Who is the video? Who is the guy?
I can't do it.
Who is the guy? Who is the guy in the top middle? Who is who is that guy? What's that video of? Who is that? Did he walk away? We can wait. Oh, I can just play this for his chat next, actually. Hold on. I don't want to run into my microphone.
24 hours.
You just can't. There's some kind of psychic thing, man. There's just some kind of thing that it just makes it so hard / impossible to get through to these people. It has gone totally mainstream in right-wing circles to engage in overtly violent rhetoric. Violent extremism is something that you can find in left-wing spaces. It exists, but the people that are doing it, the most prominent ones are, they're like Hassan, right? But like, they don't reflect the mainstream of the Democratic Party at all. Like those kind of voices. These voices here, they do represent the mainstream of the Republican Party. They have become mainstream, famous voices within the movement. And fucking all of them were engaging in this insane stochastic terrorism before we knew anything about this shooter. It was being framed as the left did this to you. You got to gear up and get ready for this fight. We are almost like religiously obligated to take this fight to the left who did this thing to you. Like all of them started doing it right away.
This is retweeted from the Daily Wire account, which is the largest right-wing alternative media outlet in the United States. And it is a statement, part of a statement from Matt Walsh, who's one of the largest right-wing alternative media figures in the United States.
For hours, I've seen some in the media, some of the very same people who intentionally stoked murder. Over the past 24 hours, I've seen some in the media, some of the...
Dude, there was one side-by-side that was like, just as a quick aside, Meghan McCain. There was a crazy back-to-back, just a legendary back-to-back tweet thread here, or back-to-back tweets. The first tweet, I think the fundamental difference between the right and the left in this country is that the left glorifies death, particularly of adversaries, and the right does not. And it's not something I think we have really fully faced until Charlie's assassination, and it's petrifying. And then like literally less than an hour later, death penalty. Like, I understand there's nuance there or whatever, but like, it's pretty fucking funny. That's a very funny like back-to-back tweet situation there.
The very same people who intentionally stoked murderous hatred against people like Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk specifically, now saying that we need to turn down the temperature and start having conversations. Well, Charlie tried to have conversations with you on the left, and you killed him for it.
Yeah, I'm back.
You're killing
I had
us
to go deposit some money
in our churches. You tried to kill our president.
It's not even a no truth Scotsman to say that they don't represent us. The Hassan types actively say they aren't us. We shouldn't have to own them. That's a fair point for sure. Yeah. Like, just to be fair to MAGA, I don't think they own Groypers, right? Like, Charlie Kirk obviously didn't own Groypers. But Hassan very vocally all the time will just come out and tell you he fucking hates the Democratic Party. He wants to destroy it and replace it with his version of politics or whatever.
You killed one of our greatest advocates in Charlie Kirk. You have been openly cheering for and celebrating and encouraging.
We're just listening. We're listening to the statement that was made by the largest.
Does xQc watch it? He should watch it.
Alternative media right-wing platform right now on the internet. Hold on, it's like 30 more seconds. 1 sec.
Political violence for years. Antifa,
Is it end
BLM.
wokeness?
What?
Is it end wokeness? Or is it libs of TikTok?
It's Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Well-funded, highly orchestrated, widespread movements based in and fueled by violence. You made a hero out of Luigi Mangione. And you celebrate Charlie's death even now. It's too late to turn the temperature down. This is not a time to hold hands. It's a time for justice. This is a time for good to fight back against evil. It is time for the righteous to prevail for the sake of our country and for our families and our children and for Charlie.
What do you think he means when he says that? The time for talking is over.
What it means is I'm going to use this opportunity when the temperature is hot to get what I actually want in all this, and to fight back and get retaliation and revenge, and I'm a pussy, and I disagree with that. All that I disagree. That's what all I hear is this bullshit.
You're disagreeing with that's the largest right-wing alternative media outlet.
Well, I don't know what he says. I don't give up what anybody on the right or the left says.
That's fine. But I'm saying
everybody's deliberately stupid. Everybody's deliberately.
Everybody. Find me a left-wing account doing this. That is like a reputable figure on the left, like a large left-wing media account, like a media person, not just like random.
That's a good question. Off the top of my head, who was the largest left-winger that like celebrated Charlie Kirk's death? Like the largest, most prominent left-winger in government and media. To be honest with you, I can't even think of one. Did Hassan celebrate it? I don't know. I feel like Hassan gave himself a lot of wiggle room there. I'm not sure if he came out and said it. Is it Mike from PA? Is it? Mike from PA immediately made it about Gaza. So did Noah Sampson, by the way. They really do live up to the meme. Is Mike considered prominent? No, obviously not. But like, Ilhan Omar did not co-sign it. You know, I don't really love what she said, to be honest with you, but she didn't condone it. Maybe the guy from MSNBC who said basically he said like fuck around and find out, like maybe that would be the most prominent example. But every politician that I've seen speak on this issue from the left in the Democratic Party or Democratic Party aligned, every single one of them, I guess except for Ilhan Omar. I don't know. Did she hold on, if I go to her Twitter feed and then go back a couple days, she said, while I disagreed with Kirk vehemently about his rhetoric, my heart breaks for his wife and children. I don't wish violence on anyone. Well, there you go. Yeah, definitely did not condone the violence. My faith teaches me the power of peace, empathy, and compassion. Yeah, I don't know if there's a single prominent left-wing aligned person that celebrated it. There were tweets that like really blew up, but for smaller accounts, like these were not like prominent people. Fiji, thank you so much for the primer.
Twitter people, yeah.
So the reason why I said earlier, you're wearing these utopic glasses or whatever, and you're always having these labels for others but not you. It's this, give me a big account, left, state representative, official, massive, huge, and famous. But you, right, when you make an argument, it's libs of TikTok.
Bro, what? Libs of TikTok is legit so influential in conservative politics. Dismissing her in a conversation about people in positions of influence, she is literally like one of the most influential conservative voices. Elon Musk, the president, hello, Matt Walsh, Christopher Rufo is like very influential. Laura Loomer is for sure influential. She had a direct line to the president. She was literally hanging out with the president, probably fucking, probably whatever. I'm not going to get into that, but like, these are not small accounts. I mean, I can't speak to everybody on this list, but.
And wokeness, dumb fuck, Christopher Rufo, some random Twitter cuck. How come?
Hold on.
Why
First
are
of
the
all,
standards so high?
first of all,
for the left, but for the right, it's whatever. We'll use whatever we
First of
find
all,
on Twitter.
number one, first of all, number one, okay, I didn't make this compilation. I was more leaning on the first image than the second image. But number two, even at that second image you have, that guy in the top right there, Elon Musk, is the owner of the platform and the richest man in the world, and was in the fucking White House. I noticed you didn't read his name. That bottom right person, Laura Loomer, people don't know if it's lip injections or the fact that she's had her mouth on Trump's cock for so long.
Oh, there it is.
Those lips are fucking big, but this bitch is in the White House every other fucking month giving guidance to the president of the United States, and she's currently on a doxing spree right now on Twitter for people that she is accusing of supporting violence. I can give you more. We just listened to Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire. I can read you out tweets from fucking Stephen Miller, who is the fucking deputy chief of staff in the White House office, who's literally fucking Hitler 2.0. Our hearts are shattered. America's lost one of its greatest champions. All of us now must dedicate ourselves to defeating the evil that stole Charlie from this world. What do you think he means by that? There's a much longer tweet from his figure if you want. I've got a tweet from Nancy Mace, not a tweet, a video of her, who's a sitting congressperson. If you want, we can listen to what she says. I can play you that one next if you want.
That one's bad.
You can soy the fuck out over the fact that this guy included some of the largest Twitter accounts that are constantly interacted with by large right-wing figures. But we can find lawmakers and yeah, go ahead, repeat the same retarded shit you just said in the face of everything I just told you. Go ahead, say it again. Pretend that I just gave you random Twitter accounts when I just rattled off 5 massive. Oh, okay, go ahead.
I agreed that everybody that's doing this shit.
Not everybody. Oh, there it is. Everybody. True.
Okay. I forgot with you.
Can you admit there were some Jews? There were some Jews in the Holocaust that probably deserved it, right? I'll admit that. There probably were some piece of shit. There were probably some Jews. Say it. Just say it. Let me hear it. There were probably some Jews in the Holocaust.
Okay, we'll just skip that.
Retaliatory manner to get payback for the act against one of their own. It's absolutely abysmal. It's awful. It's satanic. Boom. That's it. Cool. That story.
Okay.
I agree 100%.
Cool. Oh, that's good.
All these people are wrong. They're so wrong. It's disgusting.
Sure, that's fine.
Fuck all of them.
Every single event in the past decade has looked like this, with every single person on the left constantly saying this isn't good, no violence, we can't do this, and every single person on the right saying, actually, that wasn't even us.
I mean, Destiny's obviously been spitting for like the last 20 minutes straight. Like all of this is so appropriate to point out. He's 100% right about all that. Of course, it's appropriate to point that out. And nothing we can say seems to get through. It just doesn't nothing gets through. You simply can't convince these people that the problem of political extremism and political violence and the glorification of political violence, there is a top down rot in the conservative movement right now. That was on full display, not only on January 6th, but in the years that followed January 6th, as we watched one by one all of these political commentators, these right-wing political commentators, when they started to realize that their audience was never going to go for like a full-throated condemnation, when they all started to realize that their own audience were filled with people who sympathized with people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, who explicitly even endorsed what the people did on January 6th. Once they all realized that, they all changed their tunes. All of them. Ben Shapiro came out with a condemnation January 6th. I think even Joe Rogan did in the beginning. I think Tim Pool condemned that violence on January 6th. The list goes on and on and on. And then what were they all saying 2 years later? They were all kowtowing and towing the party line and minimizing what happened and dismissing it as conspiracy theory and blaming the feds and saying that they were sentenced too long and it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, they all realized that the right-wing audience that they had fostered over the last several years were never going to go along with just condemning Trump for doing that. And then they all changed their tunes.
We didn't do that. That was a Fedsurrection. That was Fauci and the COVID vaccine. That guy was
okay. He's talking to, he's about to touch on all the things that I'm talking about.
Crazy. And we disavow them. We don't even know them. There's Paul Pelosi's gay lover, and we don't know who mailed those pipe bombs. And the guy who shot him was maybe a secret liberal.
Okay.
So when it's one side doing it over and over and over again, and you come in and you say both sides need to calm down, and then the left says both sides need to calm down, and the right says we're going to war, baby.
Not my argument. My argument is that people have gamified their language. People have gamified their influence, and they're finding ways at which it is effective so their shit actually happens the way they want it to happen. And the
thoughts on moderates like Sitch and Adam claiming that calling Trump a fascist or bringing up January 6th is the real cause of this tragedy? Obviously, we don't know anything about this kid's motivation, so that's fucking stupid. Anybody who's giving you a rock solid fucking analysis of why this kid did what they did, anybody that's doing that in this moment is like a partisan hack. There's no other, that's the only explanation. They can only be a partisan hack. Maybe Sitch and Adam are correct. Maybe this kid got radicalized by extreme left ideology, but they can't possibly know that right now. And the fact that they're jumping to that conclusion right now tells you that they're more interested in narratives rather than sound analysis based on actual facts. It's a game, you know? It's a contest. The only sensible thing to do in this moment is literally just wait for more information before you jump to any conclusion. And the only people that are jumping to conclusions have some kind of an agenda that is clouding their judgment.
Reality is that this is what the right does, and I agree. What the left does, I think, is also satanic and abysmal, is the downplaying of violence, the ignoring acts of.
You can address both of those things, like left-wing extremist rhetoric and right-wing extremist rhetoric, without equivocating. You can, of course, talk about unhinged lefty voices on social media. I've made a career out of it as of late. You can do that without equivocating or suggesting that they're both on equal planes in terms of which group poses a bigger threat.
Of violence, downplaying arson and firebombing as protests is fucking looting and blowing cars up as being a legal demonstration. That's also the problem. They're both.
It's not.
It's awful. But you don't declare that.
No, the difference. X.
I'm gonna make a
I
joke
already
on Twitter
asked
to
you.
get some likes about this.
I already asked you the difference, X. The difference is that for Biden to get elected, Biden had to say that the rioting that happened over the BLM riots was bad, and he said that. And when Biden came into office, you know what he didn't do? He didn't pardon every single BLM rioter. When Trump came into office, he pardoned every single Jan 6er, even the people who were convicted of seditious treason. Do you see do you understand the difference there?
So what you're saying is that one villain stands on business and the other one doesn't, and that's somehow a way to make one better than the other. It's both awful.
No, one side is inviting violence and the other side is trying to tone it down. And it's constantly that dynamic. It is always Trump stoking the flames. It is always Trump telling people to be more violent. It is always Trump denying that anything even happened. Oh, there were good people on both sides.
I don't know anything about. Hold on. I'll make a good argument. I want you to try to break this down and give him an argument the validity that it deserves, okay? This, I've always said this. I don't know this very often, but I think about it a lot. This is like exactly how a Counter-Strike lobby is when there's a cheater. It is the exact same thing. If you are playing in a game and
fuck it, I'll say it. I think we should ban former gamers. I think we should ban gamers from doing political content, okay? I realize I'm on the chopping block, but it's for the greater good. I will call up Karen from the Olive Garden, get my job back. It's gone too far. The problem is too big. It's too big to contain. We just need a blanket ban. I'll figure it out. You know, I'm resourceful, you know?
And you're queuing with a cheater, right? And everybody else is cheating, right? And you don't denounce it, you don't say, oh, fuck this guy, you don't report him, you don't kick him, you don't ban him, you just, guys, oh, he's on my side, he's killing everybody, and I'm winning the game, I don't even know.
This is why I think it is important to pick public fights with people to our left that are anti-electoral, they're leeches, they're destructive, they're arsonists. This is why I think we need to pick public fights with these guys. Because hopefully people will understand that normie Democrats or democratically aligned voters or Democratic voters who are interested in actual, meaningful, non-deranged political engagement, we need to signal that we have nothing to do with the people that he's talking about. We want nothing to do with them. We don't want them in the party. They don't belong. For all my efforts, it just doesn't seem to be happening because he's still doing the thing where it's like the Democratic Party, we somehow own all these extremist voices that are saying these crazy things. And, I think Destiny's point is a correct one here, where it's just so ridiculous to even make that argument when the leader of the Republican Party is Donald Trump, who is for sure the most spiteful, toxic, destructive force in politics, who gleefully encourages violence. That clip from his interview this morning on Fox News, just full on just telling people, as long as you have my politics and you support me, any kind of violence that you do, I'll make an excuse for it. Just unambiguously said that. Just unimaginable that would ever happen within Democratic Party politics. Not in my lifetime, probably, will you ever see someone from the Democratic Party, the actual party, make that kind of a statement where you would suggest that that kind of political violence is acceptable as long as you have my politics. Dallas Vidani with $2. Gamers, athletes, comedians banned from politics. At this point, it might be necessary.
Maybe he's cheating, I don't know. I just like playing with him.
Diabetic? Yeah. We got that queued up.
Over him, you are constantly green lighting the act, and you're reinforcing the thought that this is okay to do. And
Who
will
is
do
green?
that.
There are not large figures on the left.
Does that all the time.
X, give me an example. Who on the left? Who on the left is greenlighting this behavior?
The cheaters? Is that what he just said? Oh, he means the gaming cheaters? He's still on his gaming analogy?
Who is green?
That.
There are not large figures on the left.
Does that all the time.
X, give me an example. Who on the left? Who on the left is greenlighting this behavior? There are not large figures on the left doing this. It's crazy people
don't denounce act of violence.
Who does? Bro. What I'm telling you is
who didn't denounce it? What prominent Democrats didn't denounce the violence?
Look at the leadership on the left. If you look at the media, if you look at the lawmakers, if you look at the presidents, the left doesn't do this. The right does.
Oh. You again?
Give me one example. Just one example. What example?
It is the what example? Gavin Newsom, whoever the fuck mayor of whatever.
What did he just? What? When did Gavin Newsom glorify political violence?
City, it's this event.
You could argue that one thing that Gavin Newsom said was questionable recently. Probably not the best use of rhetoric. He said something recently where he was like, "I will punch those sons of bitches in the mouth" or whatever.
Radical. This is radical rigging of a midterm election. Radical rigging of an election, destroying, vandalizing this democracy, the rule of law. So I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
Probably not the best use of language in this climate, just to be clear. I think the irony, or I think the thing that's pretty funny about that is like to focus on that rhetoric over the fact that Donald Trump called up Texas and said, "Hey, give me 5 seats." Like that's a bit ironic to be focusing so much on that in that moment, right?
Let me guess.
It was a metaphor for the gerrymandering, obviously, but probably not the best use of language in this moment.
Good one. Let me guess. It's not some arson accident.
The Tim Walz joke.
Thank you for believing in these times, because look, I get it. You get up in the morning and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news. But the biggest thing we can do is, and our kids demanded of it, let's stand up for the democracy. Let's stand up.
Again, probably not the best joke to make right now.
The violence. This is people demonstrating.
A judge ordered the release of the police report. He's only getting charged with aggravated murder.
Their right to freedom and
Gavin Newsom, absolutely. You're such a ghoulish fuck. Gavin Newsom absolutely never said that. Find me the fucking tweet where he said that when he encouraged violence in LA, Gavin told the feds to fuck off because they had it handled. And he told people that
I assume xQc is talking about that clip that I just saw, because that was making the rounds the last couple days.
Wouldn't accept violent rioting, and they arrested motherfuckers that were violent rioting. Where are you talking about the shit that just happened in the last few months when the president of the United States deployed the National Guard illegally, by the way, against the will of the sitting governor, by the way, with 600 additional Marine reinforcements, by the way, when California themselves and LA said they had it handled. You're taking a situation where the president was unhinged, was out of pocket, was against the law, and was acting as a fucking dictator, and you're spinning this as though Gavin Newsom did something wrong. Do you understand how absolutely fucking brain broken you are, right? Like even worse than the normal because who happens to be in the U.S. like sitting here. Do you understand how I need you to admit? No, you're not standing up business. It's the most fucking retarded shit I've ever heard you say in my entire life. It's so fucking retarded. Find me the tweet. Find me where Gavin was saying it was okay for the rioting to happen. I'll wait. I got nothing to do. Go. Do it. Or someone in your chat can find it. I want to see it.
What are you talking about? I wasn't even speaking about that either. You went on a tangent for no reason.
I think xQc was talking about the clip that I mentioned.
The wording.
I mean, what he said, I think Destiny's, like, what he said was still relevant, but yeah.
Portrayal. Avoiding the actual issue. Not saying.
Avoiding what issue?
Oh my fucking god.
Gavin directly disavowed the riot, and he said it was bad. He said they were going to arrest people for doing it. What are you talking about?
We're going to arrest people that do this, guys. We don't like this over here, guys.
Yeah, he said that. They did it. He said that, and they did it.
Maybe he wasn't talking about that clip. He seems confused. Gavin Newsom never fucking said whatever he's suggesting here.
Okay.
You acknowledge that at the same time, Donald Trump was illegally sending the military to California.
I'm not going to convince you. I'm not going to convince you.
Yeah, because it's the facts. I know. On the facts, the facts suck. Facts are annoying.
I'm never going to convince you.
The next guy that you see dying, please don't fucking pretend that you give a fuck, okay? Play the clip a few times, get some fucking laughs, go and fucking virgin. Don't pretend you actually give a fuck about any of this shit. Because you guys are the problem. It is your fault. It is your fault. People like you and Asmongold are the worst.
I am the most consistent
anti-vaccine you'll ever find. Yes, I agree. I am consistently fucking retarded.
Crazy.
Consistently retarded.
It's crazy. Yo, Destiny, you understand? Like, this is my view of the world, okay? Doing the right thing, more often than not, the vast majority of the time, is taking L's. Because being actually better than whoever you're trying to denounce as the bad person means that you take an L, and you don't change your behavior. Oh, you're going to do something.
Give me one example. Can you give me one example in human history of that happening? Give me one example. Give me one example. Give me one example of that happening. When the Brits were attacked.
I mean, that was the entire pretense for the for Martin Luther King's nonviolence. That seems kind of notable, Gandhi in India practiced nonviolent resistance. We talked about this recently because that became topical. There was an academic. Her last name is Chenoweth, and she studied like over 300 resistance movements all over the world and compared those that were nonviolent with those that were violent and she discovered that you were twice as likely to succeed if you practice nonviolence. That seems kind of like a notable counter-argument against what he's saying here.
Taxing Americans without representation, did they just sit and take it? In the Civil War, when shots were fired at Fort Sumter and the South seceded from the United States, did they just take it?
Well, we're comparing, like, at that point, we're comparing war to like political strife, like political tensions in a country.
Oh, when
Germany was steamrolling.
But there's a very strong empirical argument for nonviolent resistance, for not matching the tactics of your oppressors.
Of Europe,
accelerationism equals win.
Who's talking about accelerationism? No, I'm asking you, give me one example where somebody sat and took L after L after L, and they magically went at the end. You know where that happens? It happens in anime and Marvel movies. Show me in the...
Destiny has spent time talking about nonviolent resistance. His conclusion is that when it works, but when it doesn't, you need to pivot.
Okay. World where this happens.
In what sense?
Where somebody takes L after L after L and they just sit there and lose over and over again, but they somehow magically win at the end. Where it's not a fucking anime. Where does this happen? What you're advocating for is extinction on one side, and you're pretending there's some morality in it.
There's also an electoral argument to make. Ironic though that may seem, considering that Donald Trump won a second term just recently. But we also have analyses of the last 4 election cycles, and they demonstrated that extremists on both sides performed considerably worse than their moderate counterparts. Extremist lefties, those candidates did considerably worse than moderate candidates, and extremist right-wing candidates did considerably worse than moderate right-wing candidates.
Because you're not affected. That's all you're doing at the end of the day. You people like you and Asmongold, you're not affected.
That is rich. That is rich. That is rich. That is incredibly rich to say that, by the way. While you say it's not affected, it's a classic. It's a classic.
Panthy, thank you.
A classic how?
Why, it's just a classic. It's a classic because the left always gets free W's all the time, out of not denouncing and skirting around bad words. This is not.
What the fuck is he even referring to here?
An epidemic, guys. This is a cultural phenomenon.
Wait, show me where Gavin. Watch this. Show me where Gavin says that this is. What is he? What do you want him to say here that he didn't say? This is in regards to the riots a few months ago.
Like it.
Why send it to Twitter or on Discord?
Like, they have no idea. They really have no idea. This is not an aberration. This is not an anomaly. Anytime there's like violence, political violence, it's always condemned by Democratic Party leadership. Always. At the very, very top, and then at the leadership structure in the party, they all came out. They condemned the rioting in Los Angeles, or they condemned the rioting in 2020. Kamala did, Biden did, Pelosi did, Schumer did, and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I think AOC even, condemned the violence too, right?
Clear about this. If you incite violence or destroy our communities, you're going to be held to account. That kind of criminal behavior will not be tolerated. Full stop. Already.
Guys, they just don't know that like Democrats routinely condemn violence like that.
Guys, let me translate this to English so people that don't understand what he's saying. Guys, if you are guys, by the way, let me tell you, I'm on a 27 win streak in CS. If you cheat in my games, we will come after you. We will get you. We will ban you. By the way, I'm on a 73 win streak right now with this guy on my team. We will come after and we will get you. You will not cheat in our lobbies. You will not, and we will report you every time. By the way, guys, I'm currently rank 1 with this dueling win with the cheater. We're gonna get you. It's fucking weird. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Blah 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 blah. Just talking, ignoring the act. It's cuck shit. It's cuck shit. The man does not stand on business. He does not stand on business.
He does stand on business. They arrested people. But if you want to use a cheating example, like you see, fine, let's use a cheating example. What happens in a game where you've got some people that cheat and some people that don't? What happens? There's one of two things can happen. You've played games, I played games, you know the answer. There's only one of two ways that situation can turn out. If there are people in games that cheat and people in games that don't cheat. Tell me what are the 2 ways that this can end up?
People get fed up and now everybody's cheating.
Yes, that's one way, yeah. So the game is overrun by cheaters. You see this happen especially with free-to-play stuff, right? Or 2, what happens? The cheaters all get banned, right? There is no world Where you go into those games and you tell everybody else, guys, just stop cheating. Guys, just stop cheating and they'll go away. Guys, just stop cheating. That never happens. Because what it would lead to? It would lead to extinction. And that's what happens in every single one of those. For a while, it happened with PUBG, it happened with CSGO, it happened with every free-to-play game in the world where it just got overrun by cheaters. And unless somebody comes in and bans them, then they take over and they just run shit.
Okay. I think if you make it a point to always shame people and always recurve the narrative, say, don't do this shit. It is my understanding that you're doing the.
I mean, I go back to the question that Destiny asked at the beginning of the conversation, which is like, how often do you condemn Donald Trump? You know, you're very opinionated in this moment, even though every fucking prominent Democrat that you could possibly imagine immediately came out and condemned the violence, you know. Literally, you know, like everyone that you can think of, Pete Buttigieg, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Gavin Newsom, AOC, Bernie Sanders. You know, Bernie had a really good, like I had no notes for Bernie. Bernie had a banger last night. Just a really good statement. And this was just you heard the statement like all over the place in Democratic Party politics.
Thank you very much for joining me. I want to say a few words regarding the terrible murder yesterday of Charlie Kirk, someone who I strongly disagreed with on almost every issue, but who was clearly a very smart and effective communicator and organizer, and someone unafraid to get out into the world and engage the public.
That's not so like, I don't know. I see a lot of people complaining that they're calling this whitewashing. This is just, I think, like a good example of just being a good human being. He's not saying this to gas up Charlie Kirk. He's saying this to try to just like heal the country. You know, he probably knows, like, he probably doesn't even really fully agree with what he just said. But the point isn't that it was necessarily like 100% true. It's like what he's trying to do with the rhetoric. He's like, exactly, he's offering an olive branch. He knows that there are tens of millions of people in the country for whom Charlie Kirk meant a great deal. They respected him. And so sometimes when people die, you know, even in your just regular life, you know, it's not even just limited to like when people die, but like sometimes you say things that you don't necessarily believe, but it's a gesture. That's all that is. It's a gesture. It's meant to signal to the people that you share a country with that you see their pain and you're acknowledging that pain. That's all that is. I don't think we should call that whitewashing. I think it's just the correct thing for a political leader to do in this moment.
My condolences go out to his wife and his family. A free and democratic society, which is what America is supposed to be about, depends upon the basic premise that people can speak out, organize, and take part in public life without fear, without worrying that they might be killed, injured, or humiliated for expressing their political views. In fact, that is the essence of what freedom is about and what democracy is about. You have a point of view, that's great. I have a point of view that is different than yours. That's great. Let's argue it out. We make our case to the American people at the local, state, and federal levels, and we hold free elections in which the people decide what they want. That's called freedom and democracy. And I want as many people as possible to participate in that process without fear. Freedom and democracy is not about political violence. It is not about assassinating public officials. It is not about trying to intimidate people who speak out on an issue. Political violence, in fact, is political cowardice. It means that you cannot convince people of the correctness of your ideas, and you have to impose them through force. Every American, no matter what one's political point of view may be, must condemn all forms of political violence and all forms of intimidation. We must welcome and respect dissenting points of view. That's what our Constitution is about. That's what our Bill of Rights is about. That, in fact, is what freedom is about. The murder of Charlie Kirk is part of a disturbing rise in political violence that threatens to hollow out public life and make people afraid of participating. From the January 6, 2021 attack on the United States Capitol, to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, to the attack on Paul Pelosi, to the attempted kidnapping of Michigan Governor Whitmer, to the murder of Minnesota's Speaker of the House, Melissa Hortman, and her husband, to the arson attack on Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, to the shooting of United Health Executive Brian Thompson, and the shooting several years ago of Representative Steve Scalise, this chilling rise in violence has targeted public officials across the political spectrum. Sadly, this is not a new phenomenon. We all remember the assassinations of President Kennedy, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Senator Robert F. Kennedy, John Lennon, Medgar Evers, and the attempted assassinations of President Ronald Reagan and Alabama Governor George Wallace. This is a difficult and contentious moment in American history. Democracy in our country and throughout the world is under attack. And there are a lot of reasons for that which need serious discussion. But bottom line, if we honestly believe in democracy, if we believe in freedom, all of us must be loud and clear. Political violence, regardless of ideology, is not the answer and must be condemned. Thank you very much.
Based no notes, I think that's just about as close to a perfect response that you could conceive of. You know, that's, I think, what political leadership looks like.
I think it's all dog shit. I think people can just do better, man. It's that simple.
Really?
Yeah,
so what's one game where the cheating just disappeared without people getting, you say doxxed, how about sued? Right? Didn't that happen to big cheat makers where they literally got fucking sued by Blizzard? I think for at least one of them. Or where people get banned. They get kicked out, deported. What game fixed the cheating problem magically? Ever?
Valorant.
Really? Valorant? Don't they literally have a fucking RAM injection program that Riot uses to...
They mine Bitcoin on my PC and I let them. I am a cock of Bitcoin.
Okay, so obviously that example doesn't work then.
The Chinese spyware is in my ass as we speak, digging a hole, and I love it.
Okay, so then that example doesn't work then. There's somebody else that's enforcing that. We have nobody enforcing that in the United States. One side is just cheating right now with impunity, and you're pretending that it's going to magically go away. Why? They keep winning games. Trump won the last election. Cheating. They're just going to keep winning.
Oh, so now again. He's cheating. He's cheating. Right? Is that what you're saying?
Here's Don Jr.
They realize they lost the debate entirely, so they have to resort to violence. And contrary to what we're seeing elsewhere and online, it is not going both ways. It is going one way. It's coming from those aligned with the Democrat Party. The hate has been fomented by those in the Democrat Party, and you can...
You know, juxtapose his message to Bernie's, and I think you get at the problem that Destiny is speaking to in this conversation correctly. Clerks with the 5 gifted subs, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Probably play hundreds of hours of those clips. It's coming from the media. Some of them are doing a quick course correction and probably scrub their social media feeds for all the things they've said about Charlie, myself, my father over the last few years. But
Clerks with another 5 gifted. Clerks. Cheers, man. Thank you. Did I also say thank you for the 128 months? Appreciate it, buddy. Van the Man, did I get you for 9 months? Thank you.
You can't call someone who you disagree with or simply can't win an argument with a Nazi, a fascist, a dictator, a greatest threat to democracy in the history of civilization, and then...
What happens if a political party in the United States becomes so extreme that they're openly embracing fascistic values? What language would you like me to use? Do you want me to use nationalists? I mean, you guys celebrate nationalism. You guys think nationalism is a good thing. I'm generalizing a little bit there, but there's a lot of prominent right-wing politicians that openly embrace the language of nationalism. Candace Owens, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think Donald Trump has even said that nationalism is good.
Pretend you had nothing to do with it when the more radical wing, and there does not seem to be all that much difference to me these days, takes up arms and tries to kill those they disagree with. It's not one way.
wildly irresponsible language. There's no thought to, they don't seem to have any kind of priority at all at turning down the temperature. Just doesn't seem to be something that they're interested in doing. Like they are very, one side is very actively trying to make every effort to promote unity, to get people across the political spectrum to agree that political violence is bad. And then fucking Don Jr. over here doing basically what every other prominent Republican is doing right now.
Is that where you're going with this? No, I think that's rigged. I think saying that anything is rigged is like, unless it is proof that it's rigged. I mean, let's be honest. It's just, you're just saying things. Like, what about?
Sure, here's proof that it was rigged. The fact that he pardoned every single person that showed up at the Capitol to insurrect the government, that he ordered to be there, that he told people to come there. That would be one example of rigging. I can give you like 20 more if you want.
Boy, example of rigging how?
Donald Trump told everybody that the 2020 election was rigged. 80% plus of conservatives today still think the 2020 election was rigged. They showed up at the Capitol to protest the election, and then eventually to riot in the White House, and eventually to kick out the lawmakers so that they could prevent the peaceful transfer of power. Every single person involved with that, when Donald Trump was elected again, was pardoned. He said it's okay, it's cool. People that were
that's wild to me. Yes. That all that is a bit, that's abysmal. It's a failure of everything that every state that is said on. It's an absolute disaster.
Okay. Is there a single equivalent action that anybody on the left has done?
Why, you mean like when Biden pardoned his the crack smoker?
That is not in the same fucking universe. Whatever your opinions on that pardon was, we're talking about totally different things here. Like, how did Biden contribute to a rising climate of political violence by that pardon? Like, that had nothing to do with political violence, right? Ace with $10. Destiny fails to understand this. Trump won his base with incivility, but that same incivility almost cost him moderates. He only gained them because he would make Harris look radical. I mean, we've watched a lot more of this conversation, and so I go back to what I was saying sort of at the beginning of the video when we started watching it, where I'm kind of decoupling a couple things here, because I think his analysis on what is happening and what side bears more responsibility, I think there's no question that he is speaking to something that is very correct. He has the correct take. It is the situation as it is quite literally inversed in reality from the way that xQc and Asmongold seem to suggest is the case. This idea that political violence or incendiary rhetoric or violent political rhetoric is 90-10 coming from the left versus the right is preposterous. And he's spoken to like why that is. I think he's articulated himself quite well on that issue. He still loses me when he starts talking about this game theory shit that you guys are talking about. When he says something like the left shouldn't disavow the violence. So he's saying that the Bernie message, he's saying the Bernie message was cucked. He was saying that this message is cucked. There's no place for political violence, condemning the violence. Like, Destiny's position is that Bernie was cucked by saying that. That is where you lose me. I could not disagree more. Then watch the video. We're watching the video. What do you want? I'm watching it. We'll continue to watch it.
Why did Biden pardon his son?
I don't know. You tell me. I thought he said he wouldn't do it.
Do you know what two crimes he was convicted for?
The game theory video? I don't know what possible video you guys. I don't agree with the framing. I don't agree with the terms. I completely reject the notion that we need to engage in our own kind of like violent rhetoric, or that it's cucked for people in Democratic Party politics to disavow violence like that. I could not disagree more. You need some people holding up those ideals. If we just abandon those ideals altogether, we are just hastening the demise of the fucking republic, the entire republic.
Okay.
Hunter Biden was convicted for lying on a federal tax.
So now you're doing charitability.
Oh, you don't like the facts. You don't like the facts.
Now you're doing
I'm not being charitable. I'm not being charitable. I was just telling you a factual record of what was going on. But you don't like the facts because they bother. Yeah, they bother you. Oh, you want to talk?
No, I'm not one of those guys.
Okay. Hunter Biden was convicted for two things. One, he was convicted for tax evasion in 2019 on taxes that he'd already paid back, that him and the IRS had already settled on. They were fully paid back. One. And then two, he was convicted for lying on a 4473.
Destiny's saying it's cucked to hand wring about it. No, he just said, you're not going to gaslight me. You're not going to fucking gaslight me, okay? He said literally just like 10 minutes ago that he doesn't think that Democrats, as long as Republicans are going to do what they do, which is that Don Jr. video that we just watched, the Trump clip from earlier when he said he kind of likes right-wing extremists. He said as long as they're doing that he doesn't want anyone on the left to disavow like violence like what happened a couple days ago. That's what he said. You can't gaslight me. I heard what I heard. That's what he said. Therefore, how could he not think that like the James Tallarico clip, the Bernie Sanders clip, all those posts from like Barack Obama and everybody else that spoke up about condemning the violence, that's what he said. His point is that it doesn't matter. I fucking totally disagree with you guys. I think that is fucking insane to suggest that it doesn't matter that the entire Democratic Party leadership came out against this violence. It doesn't matter to Trump's base. It doesn't matter to people like Asmongold and xQc that are just steeped in like online political discourse and just can't see straight. But the country is so much bigger than those two guys, you know, the culture war that's happening on social media. It's so much bigger than all of that.
Because he smoked crack at the same time that he bought his gun. This was after the Republicans had investigated him for 4 years, claiming that he was conspiring in Burisma and Ukraine to do illegal international business. Okay? Joe Biden pardoned him.
So he had paid his taxes. Is that how it actually went down?
Yes.
Is that an accurate? Like
he filed late. Hunter Biden filed his taxes late. He didn't not pay his taxes. He filed them late.
Like documented thing.
Go Wikipedia if you don't believe me, or Google it. Yes, they were all paid back already.
Well,
yes.
I just feel like this is. It sounds a little bit like a fairy tale. It could not be.
Oh, that's crazy how all the Republican shit is so fucking horrible and bad, but it's literally on the open. If any of you fucking retards would take 2 seconds to read about it, but yes,
well, I'm not
they
Republican.
were paid back.
I'm not Republican.
They were paid. You are in practice. Yeah, of course you are. What do you mean? Obviously, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. Identity politics master. I get it again.
It's not identity politics. It's just like a guy walks out of a room with cum leaking out of his asshole in his mouth and says, "I'm not gay." It doesn't really mean much as long as you still get fucked in the ass and you take dick in your mouth.
We don't know how the cum got there, though. I mean, there's other explanations. We don't know for sure that that's how the cum got there.
Right? You carry all the Trump talking points and you do everything that they want you to do.
I can't believe I'm spending money to get you to look up Veritasium, the game theory. Destiny is explaining it poorly. Please don't base your opinion off their shout over each other nonsense. I want you guys to tell me. If you guys want me to watch a game theory video, fine. Okay. I can promise you right now, you guys are not going to get me to move away from the idea that there is value for people on the left condemning violence like what happened to Charlie Kirk and not mirroring some of the worst rhetoric that we hear coming out of MAGA. You're never going to move me off of that. Ever in a million years. It's not going to happen.
This is a video about the most famous problem in game theory. Problems of this sort pop up everywhere, from nations locked in conflict to roommates doing the dishes. Even game shows have been based around this concept. Figuring out the best strategy can mean the difference between life and death, war and peace, flourishing and the destruction of the planet. And in the mechanics of this game, we may find the very source of one of the most unexpected phenomena in—
I think I've watched this, by the way, but I could be wrong.
Cooperation. On the 3rd of September 1949, an American weather monitoring plane collected air samples over Japan. In those samples, they found traces of radioactive material. The Navy quickly collected and tested rainwater samples from their ships and bases all over the world. They also detected small amounts of cerium-141 and yttrium-91. But these isotopes have half-lives of 1 or 2 months, so they must have been produced recently. And the only place they could have come from was a nuclear explosion. But the US hadn't performed any tests that year, so the only possible conclusion was that the Soviet Union had figured out how to make a nuclear bomb. This was the news the Americans had been dreading. Their military supremacy, achieved through the Manhattan Project, was quickly fading.
This makes the problem of Western Europe
Miriam, thank you.
and the United States far more serious than it was before, and perhaps makes the imminence of war greater.
Some thought their best course of action was to launch an unprovoked nuclear strike against the Soviets while they were—
Not necessarily about saying we have to celebrate, just describing the situation we are in right now. We are doing cooperate while they just steal. I don't think that is what is happening, is my point. Don't think that is what is happening. You are not cooperating with right-wingers by, for example, like not condemning a shooting, or rather condemning it. You're not cooperating with right-wingers by condemning political violence like the kind that we saw for Charlie Kirk. Ezra Klein said Charlie Kirk was doing politics exactly the right way. I'm not sure if I would go that far in describing Charlie Kirk, but Ezra Klein does not represent everybody, right? Like you can have individual examples of people that you think are maybe doing a little too much whitewashing of Charlie Kirk. I also haven't read what Charlie Kirk wrote yet, or Ezra Klein, so I would have to like wait until I actually read it.
We're still ahead. In the words of Navy Secretary Matthews, to become aggressors for peace. John von Neumann, the founder of game theory, said, if you say, why not bomb them tomorrow? I say, why not bomb them today? If you say today at 5 o'clock, I say, why not at 1 o'clock?
Something needed to be done about nuclear weapons, and fast. But what?
In 1950, the RAND Corporation, a US-based think tank, was studying this question, and as part of this research, they turned to game theory. That same year, 2 mathematicians at RAND had invented a new game, one which, unbeknownst to them at the time, closely...
My God, you're misreading the take. It's honestly dumb. D is not saying to not condemn. It's that we always condemn, but they never do. If you are taking away from stuff last year, ditch it, please. Why do I feel so fucking gaslit sometimes when no disrespect, when I get into arguments with some people that I assume are in DGG? Why do you guys gaslight? D is not saying to not condemn. He fucking literally said that like 15 minutes ago. Why are you making up a new thing? He fucking literally said, like, as long as MAGA's doing the thing, I don't think we should condemn or disavow. He fucking said that. What are you talking about? That's what he said. He literally said that. Condemn nothing until they do. Yeah, that's the whole thing. We need to go back in the video then. We can just hear what he said. Control F. They both speak so fast, it might be difficult to find it in the transcript. D-Man said the word for word on Pierre's appearance on the Trump shooting, condemn nothing until right does it first. So why am I being fucking gaslit? Why are you guys gaslighting me about what he said? I'll just keep scrubbing through the transcript until I can find it.
Is the downplaying of violence, the ignoring acts of violence, downplaying arson and firebombing as protests is fucking looting and blowing cars up as being illegal.
Dosvidani with $5. I think the part I disagree with Destiny is that I do think it's good for mainstream Democrats to condemn violence in the moment. Same. And I think it extends beyond mainstream Democrats. I think it's good for just regular civilians to condemn that kind of violence. Dosvidani with $10. The part I would agree with is that Republicans pick this path. Dems should switch from condemning to calling on Trump to turn down the temperature. Further condemnations accomplish little. Well, you can do both. You can condemn the violence and then put pressure on Donald Trump to step up, and you can and you should do both. Where's the incentive? The incentive is to not contribute more to an already volatile situation. Unless if you it just depends on what your goal is. If your goal is war, like if your goal is like actual civil war, like if you think that would be the way that we deal with this situation, then you not condemning violence would be considered consistent with your morals, right? Because you're like working towards something that you think is going to bring about some eventual solution to the problem. Like if that's what your goal is, that's what I'm saying. But it should be phased. For the record, Destiny has said many times the assassination was very bad and it should not happen. That's fine. I'm looking for the particular part in this video where he said, I think it's right here. Hold on. I think it's right here. I mean, at 14:17, he says, it's better for both sides to be violent than to just sit there and endure the violence, because that just leads to a total eradication of your side. I mean, what am I supposed to make of that language, right?
No, but it's better for both sides to be violent than to just sit there and endure the violence, because that just leads to a total eradication of your side.
So
I mean, I don't. I guess it just depends on how you look at it. I think that we can avoid civil war. Like, I don't think the path that we're on right now is intractable. I don't think the inevitable conclusion of this tension, this political tension that exists in this country right now, is civil war. I think that we have been through extremely difficult times in this country before, extremely violent times in this country, and it didn't lead to civil war, you know? I don't know how else I'm supposed to read that particular statement right there. And especially in the context when we're talking about like Charlie Kirk, that whole thing. This is something that I could not disagree with more. Like at first, and then also like, how are we defining violence here?
Do you make it a point for you? Because if you're going to hold people to a standard, you have to hold yourself to the same standard, right? Do you make to denounce people that use bad language, the fucking leftist radical fucking dog shit call for violence? Do you make it a point for you to call these people out there when they do this shit? Is that what you said on them? Do you actually do that?
Generally, yeah. Less so now, though. Not when the Republicans are doing it. I think it's immoral to sit there and hand wring on the left. Now, my statement is, I don't think anyone on the left should say shit about it until Donald Trump does.
So for every
see, like, what is he even? I feel like we're jumping around between two different things here, because he's talking specifically about like condemning extremist violence. I assume we're talking about like extremist lefties on Twitch, for example. And he's saying like you shouldn't hand wring about that. Like, well, are we drawing a distinction between hand wringing and just simply criticizing? Like, is he saying don't criticize them or don't hand wring?
Now though, not when.
But then he jumps to like, I don't think anybody on the left should comment about that until Trump comments about it. But like, I feel like we're jumping around and we're jumping into like a lot of different things here.
Call for violence. Do you make it a point for you to call these people out there when they do this shit? Is that what you said on them? Do you actually do that?
Generally, yeah. Less so now, though. Not when the Republicans are doing it. I think it's immoral to sit there and hand wring on the left. Now, my statement is, I don't think anyone on the left should say shit about it until Donald Trump does.
I just could not disagree with this more. I think it's pretty clear what he's saying here, guys. You're not going to gaslight me in YouTube. I don't agree with that. I don't agree. It's okay, Hutch. You don't like Destiny. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't go looking for ghosts when there are none. I'm almost prepared to just fucking give you the boot here, Waves. What the fuck? How am I bringing in my personal opinion of Destiny to what he's saying? You just heard me agree with him for like 30 minutes. And I agree with him on one thing, and you do this fucking weird parasocial shit? Stop doing that, bro. You heard me for like the last hour and a half being like, he's spitting. I agree.
So for
Jesus
everybody,
Christ.
it's no, they have to do it like that. But for you, it's not. But now it's that. So how? Well, it is what it is.
Okay, for people in xQc's chat, does he call out Trump and I just miss it? Maybe I do. It could be.
I don't know how you could arrive at any other conclusion besides like how do you square what he just said a moment ago with Bernie's message, which I think is valuable and it's important in a country with 330 million people, in a country where tensions and violent rhetoric and hyperpartisanship and hyperpolarization is at generational highs. We haven't seen levels this high since literally the fucking 60s. If you're going to tell me that there's no value in someone like Bernie Sanders making a statement that is very uniting, calls out violence on both sides, you don't think there's value to that? Do I need to explain why there's value to something like that? Because Bernie is talking to the base, no conservative is listening to him. You're wrong. He's not just talking to the base. That message was actual political leadership. That message was uniting. That message was addressing violence on both sides. He did not just cater that message to people in his base. It's quite obvious that in that moment, whoever helped him craft that speech, it was crafted in a way that it would appeal to anybody who saw that message, anybody that lives in America. He was not just like feeding the base red meat with that message. You're going to have to convince me about how that doesn't have any value in a moment like this. Why do I need to explain that? Ace with $5. Thoughts on the claim that Trump tried to point to be presidential at one point in time, but the media didn't give him a chance? I don't even like when. What are you talking? I'd love an example there.
By the way, I admit it because maybe my chat just doesn't show me those clips. It's possible.
Find me a Republican who watched Bernie's speech and see what they thought. This is a really online take, you guys. There's fucking millions of people that live in this country. Are you really suggesting that you don't think there was a single Republican in the country that saw Bernie's speech and appreciated it? I think you can disavow all political violence without highlighting specifics on the left and instead focusing on specifics on the right, on who is doing far more of it. There's a time for both things. There's a time for a very uniting message. And then there's a time to dive into the nuance and look into the data and give specific examples and unpack who has more responsibility. There's a time for both of those things. Congressional staffer for Democrat Rep. Andre Carson posted on their Instagram story justifying the murder of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk isn't a martyr. He's a casualty to the violence he incited. I mean, I wouldn't use that kind of language, but I hardly would call that like justifying it. That's fine. We don't agree. That's fine. You want to leave it at that and say we don't agree. That's fine. But don't tell me that's not what he's saying. That's not what he's saying. Like, don't like, it's the gaslighting that I don't like. I heard what I heard. It's like pretty clear as day, right?
You did do the advertisement with Aiden Frost. That's true. But
I did not. I mean, I was doing audio checks, but it's all good.
Really?
Why isn't Trump delivering the united message? Because he's not a leader. He's not a leader. He is a con man. He's a cynical, deeply cynical person. He's a failure of leadership. Bro, are you serious? Do you disagree with me? Okay, he's a good leader. I don't know. What are you disagreeing with? He is the leader, not good or bad. Are you being fucking pedantic with me right now? Do you understand the point that I'm making? He's not fit to lead. He's the elected president, but he's not a true leader. He's a con man. And you have an issue with me saying that? Chill the fuck out, bro. Why isn't Trump turning down the rhetoric? He is incapable of doing that. Don't you get it? He is a narcissist. He is a malignant narcissist. He is not concerned about the health of the country. He does not give a single flying fuck about this country. The only way that he cares about the country is through a lens of how he can benefit from whatever issue he's commenting on. He is woefully incapable of being an actual leader. I agree with you, and that's the problem that we're in. Then why the fuck are you yelling at me? Everybody needs to calm the fuck down. With context, Hutch, you are wrong. I explain it to me then. So explain it to me. You're talking about game theory, this, and explain it to me. How am I wrong? What is your goal? Okay, like if you're like, all right, it's war. We're gonna go to war. You know, like we're not immune from a civil war in this country. If that's what you're saying, if it has to be war, if that's what you're saying, then you know we have a difference of opinion there, and whatever. You know, like that base thing that kind of underpins everything else of like, you know, it's war, right? If that's what you're saying, then sure, you know, like don't condemn or whatever. But if you think we can avoid that, if you think we can actually find an off-ramp, which I know it seems impossible in this moment, but do you guys understand, like, how many people do you think walking around in the 60s and 70s felt the same way? Like, how many people were walking around and they felt completely overwhelmed? You think America right now in 2025, you think we're the first country to grapple with simmering tensions like that reach a boiling point? You think we're the first country that's ever dealt with like serious internal strife and fierce division? What about disavowing the violence while condemning the other side for not doing the same? That's literally what I do. Yes! It's fully appropriate. It's not only appropriate, it's the correct thing to do right now. I'm saying that's the correct way to unpack what's happening right now. That's what I think is the thing that we should do right now. Call Charlie Kirk's murder what it was, you know, like a horrifying act of like barbarity. And then also get in there and try to make good arguments, convincing arguments, and convince people to like convince the people that are more nonpartisan or who are less partisan, like convince them, you know. That's what American politics is and always has been. You're competing for like the middle, like 30%, 35% of the country. That's how you win elections. And I think there are very convincing arguments to make that, and Destiny has made many of those arguments. And this is where I agree with Destiny, that there's one person in this country that is so much more of a problem than anybody else. And it is fucking ridiculous to suggest that there's like an equivalence or even near parity levels, you know? IRI, what's up, buddy? Trump only cares to lead his cult and not the country, in my opinion. And for the record, I like that you're bald. Cheers, buddy. Thank you. It's like the fucking, we talked about it, was it yesterday or today? The line in Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I know that Destiny loved. I do recall him saying that he loved that movie. Everything Everywhere All at Once, in my opinion, is the most profound film I've ever seen in my fucking life. It made me want to change my life. He loved that movie. So like some part of him connected with the message of that movie. And what was the message of that movie? You had Wayman saying, this is how I fight. This is how we fight. You think it's a weakness that I try to be kind to people, but that's how I fight. That's how, you know, that's his whole character. That's that whole arc. I think the right wants is not to condemn the murder, but accept culpability for their rhetoric, you should never do that. Obviously, don't cede them an inch on ownership over stuff like this. It's fucking ridiculous. That's how it appears when it's one-sided. To me, this feels like a very online take where, you know, we've got our fierce like online tribes, and it's like described in terms that kind of mimic like warfare and this kind of. There's so many people in the country that are not online like us that see that kind of imagery of the bullet fucking going through Kirk's neck and all that blood coming out, and it horrifies them, and they're scared and they get worried about what's going to happen. And then people like statements like the one that Bernie made, I think are really important, and they're valuable and they're necessary. And you need people affirming the pain that people that they disagree with, like you can affirm that pain and not cuck yourself. You can be kind to someone who you fiercely disagree with. You can be kind to someone who you think even like maybe wants to fucking kill you, unalive you. And the argument there is that you probably stand a better chance of getting them to see you as a human being if you treat them as a human being, even if you don't even expect it in return. I don't know, man. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's my time in fucking recovery and 12-step programs, but this is all like program talk, like doing nice things and not expecting anything in return. But what about game theory? I don't know. Fucking mutually assured destruction. Stop. Sorry, I don't know. I'm getting wound up right now. It's the language. It is not an act of mutually assured destruction to affirm like other people's pain in a way where and not be cruel. You can be firm. You can be assertive. You can challenge ideas and concepts that you think are bad. And there are so many bad ideas coming out of MAGA and the right wing right now. You should relentlessly challenge those things. But in a moment like this, a really precarious, fragile moment like this, there is value to just like demonstrating decency. You can set an example for the people who are directing a lot of vitriol at you. You can disarm. There's a chance you might disarm that person and help de-radicalize that person. I don't know. Swanee Bird with $5. Bernie lived through the 60s too. He knows exactly what needs to be said in these moments. People should listen. Why the fuck do you think, like so many people look up to Martin Luther King in this country? We spend so much years of our youth learning about nonviolence and, meeting aggression with compassion and these kinds of things. And it just fucking went out the window one day, I guess. All right, listen, we'll take one caller, okay? Hello, Matt. Hello.
I just want to explain like super broadly and clearly. I understand what you're saying on the whole, like Destiny's taking it too far in certain aspects, and I believe that's the case. Just to put into context this conversation and how you're agreeing like 95%, is that Destiny's just looking at it, and then I can get into the game shit, whatever the fuck. It's not really a big proponent of this. But essentially, right, it's just that Destiny's looking at all this, saw xQc watching a Asmongold video, and xQc is sitting there over and over again saying, oh man, everyone needs to calm down, everyone needs to calm down, everyone needs to calm down, when it's just one side that needs to calm down. And he's just showing, that's where he brought the screenshot up of the entire left constantly showing everyone calming down and trying to bring down the rhetoric, and the right is just escalating the rhetoric with talks of war and civil war and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it's just, he's just trying to reiterate to xQc that it's only on one side, and xQc thinks that it's a both sides issue. Still, as you're watching the video, you can kind of clearly see that.
I agree with all that. I don't have a problem with any of that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's what's happening right now is you're just getting held up on a couple of guys in chatter who are kind of like doing the opposite, where it's just like they're just looking at the small things that you've had disagreements with Destiny on and being like, oh, blowing it up to every single part of the video. And so I just wanted to like come in and kind of clear that air on the small little disagreement that's happening, where I think those chatters are just blowing up your small, like, oh, I don't think when Destiny says that the left should no longer do the like apologizing shit, is just back to the game, like the what is it? The wargaming.
I mean, I don't know if he literally meant that or if he was just having a moment. Like sometimes I have moments and I say things I don't really mean them, and then in retrospect I'm like, I didn't literally mean that. But
yeah, and I don't know either 100%. All I know is that from the context of what this whole stream was about, is that before, when you watched the game theory video, was that basically there's a tit for tat system, and whenever somebody tits, you have to tat them. So you have to like respond back to them equally. So you start off the system being nice, and in this example, the Democrats have started off being nice, but then the Republicans did a bad thing, and on the Democrat side, you're supposed to respond back in kind with like a negative thing until things go back to normal. Now, of course, in that game theory video, you can just spiral out of control because the tit for tat system, when it plays against like Josh, for example, or the Josh system, is that the Josh system retaliates, like doubles down basically, and when they double down, it just de-escalates into a never-ending spiral. And that's where you're going to disagree on with Destiny, is because you're going to look at what Destiny says and say, hey, that's just going to lead to a never-ending spiral, and it probably does in certain game theory examples. But on the long run, tit for tat wins out in the long run, is kind of like the context that Destiny's getting through, is that the Democrat Party needs to tat. They can't endlessly forgive and forget, versus the Republicans who never do any kind of forgiving. He's just trying to emphasize that the Republicans need to do the forgiving at some point, or else we're just going to death spiral.
Oh, okay, applied in a broad sense, I agree that the Democrats should be in the fight. Like they shouldn't just like take it down or take it lying down. But like an example of what I think is like a good way of fighting is like what Gavin Newsom is doing in the state of California with our redistricting amendment. That's like a perfect example of like, of course, like we can't just not like retaliate or take any actions ourselves. That's insane. But we're applying it to political rhetoric online, and that's where I'm like, that's where you lose me. I don't understand how that adds like anything tactically advantageous to us. You know, I mean, like in a sense, like challenging bad rhetoric, that's fine. But I'm talking about like specifically like the really toxic kind of rhetoric that we saw in response to like the Charlie Kirk thing. Like, I understand why there were people out there that were posting TikToks where they were celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder. Like, I understand why, when so much of the political rhetoric out there these days is fueled by cruelty and dehumanization, that's kind of a predictable reaction to that. But I still think it's bad broadly to see it happening, because it's a sign that there's like a really deep rot in the country. And I don't think that I don't understand the tactical advantage of being a part of that. I don't understand. How does it benefit us politically? How does it benefit us as a society to contribute to that kind of stuff? You know, like music videos on TikTok, like celebrating the murder or whatever.
Yeah, I would obviously agree to that, and then I'm not going to speak for on Destiny's behalf on that. And then maybe the chatters are trying to say that that's like obviously you would think that Destiny's a part of that, where he'll make some more edgier jokes, and I can agree that he'll make more edgier jokes on the subject matter. I would assume that Destiny would just say, "Well, I'm not Gavin Newsom, and I'm not the leadership of the left," which is kind of dumb, arguably, because you know you're a big political commenter, right? The screenshot that we saw of the two sides of political stuff, you know, you were there, right? So
well, let me put it a different way, just to clarify something real quick. Like, if I see that kind of behavior, that kind of like really toxic rhetoric from people like celebrating his death, I'm gonna spend less time like being individually critical of those people, and I'm gonna spend more time speaking to what I think is the larger problem. Like, the fact that rhetoric exists is a strong indication that where we're at is just not sustainable. That doesn't mean unilaterally disarm and just let Republicans walk all over you and never challenge their beliefs or anything like that. But I think like it's a really particularly extreme example of the dysfunction that's going on in this country. Like, actually celebrating a fucking brutal, violent murder.
Yeah.
We need to address that. Now, the question is like, well, you know, like, how do you address that without cucking yourself? And I think you need to ask that question. That last part of without cucking yourself is a really important part about like trying to figure out what can we do to bring the temperature down.
Yeah.
But this is also a component of like being an adult and being in relationships. Sometimes we're talking about it at a macro level, but the concept of unilateral disarmament actually works all the time in individual relationships. Like anytime anybody that's in either chat that has ever been in a long-term relationship where you actually figure out like effective ways of communicating, everybody has been in the position of or I assume like most people have been in the position where, you know, you're at an impasse with your partner, you're bitterly divided in that moment. They've said something that hurt your feelings. You've said something that hurt their feelings. And then one of those people, and usually in relationships, like in healthy relationships, you take turns being the one that does it. One of those people just puts their own shit to the side for a second and says, you know what? I'm sorry I did that thing that really hurt you. And then what happens 99 times out of 100 in that spot, the other person says, thank you for doing that. You know what? I'm sorry that I hurt you, whatever. But it takes one person doing that. Like how we apply that in a political sense is a good question. And I don't really know like the right answer, but I think like setting that example for other people, I think actually does matter.
Yeah, and I would broadly agree with that. And that's, I think, also where like you're going to find a lot of agreement with Destiny on this is just that that interaction you're talking about with a significant other requires both sides to be rational actors, right? So if you're doing that one-on-one disagreement, let's say let's expand that out to the Republican Party versus the Democrat Party. The issue is that the Republican Party, your significant other in this example, is not acting rationally, and the only way that you guys can fix your relationship, besides devolving into a civil war, or like there's another chart that Destiny ends up drawing up later that shows like a worse outcome of that, which would be like genocide of one side. So like the one significant other just kills the other person as to tie it together. The only way that those two people are going to connect again is to both be rational actors. And Destiny's just trying to emphasize to xQc that only one side is being a rational actor and the other side, the Republicans, are not being rational whatsoever. And if the Democrat side just doesn't do anything about it, then you lead to the one-sided kind of like overtake.
But what am I doing by uploading a video like celebrating Charlie Kirk's death? Like just me as like an individual civilian, right? Like not me specifically, just like the general kind of you. Like what are you actually, how are you helping your side by doing that? Like what's the value there?
I would agree that those people aren't doing anything good by posting anything that's celebrating. Anyone who's like, oh, but Gaza, or anyone who's like, oh, kind of, you know what, I'm kind of happy that this happened. Or even the one example that some chatter was talking about was, I think it was Sean Strickland, that's the MMA fighter, who just posted saying, I was actually kind of happy because it
it's fucking crazy.
You know, we're going to finally get some accelerationist kind of justice or whatever the fuck he was hinting at. Yeah, I agree that those things are stupid. But I'm just saying that I don't think has anything to do with the xQc versus Destiny talk that's happening here. It's just more of a talk about how only one side is acting rationally right here, and xQc thinks it's both sides that are acting irrationally.
I certainly think there's way more irrationality with MAGA. But I do think that there is certainly some irrationality going on in left-wing spaces as well. Like, I think if you let yourself become so consumed with like hatred and tribalism to the point where, you know, you're like you, not you specifically, but like you're uploading a video, like making fun of the thing, then I think like you're giving up a part of yourself that you're gonna need in order to be like a decent human being.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I guess my question,
like, I don't think it's rational. I don't think it's rational to like, be cruel about the murder. Like, I don't think that's a rational thing.
Being cruel about the murder right now is the question that Destiny's asking xQc, and now I'm asking you as well. Like, who's being cruel on the left about the assassination?
As far as like prominent people go, I haven't seen that, but like,
yeah,
there are like there is an ocean of crazy TikToks and Twitter posts, right? Like that's what we're speaking to. Yeah.
Yep. And that's all Destiny's trying to drill into xQc's head, is that pool of people, xQc is doing the terminally online thing, where that pool of people, the crazy TikTokers, or even up to Hassan, even though Hassan's been relatively good on this subject right now, is that xQc, because he saw TikToks of his own or whatever, sees that pool, thinks it's the entire Democrat Party and every liberal on the planet.
Yeah, he's wrong about that.
Into his brain.
Yeah, he's right. He's wrong about that. Yeah, obviously.
Yep. Yeah. But that's all that discussion is Destiny trying to drill into xQc, that's what he's doing, and that's what he's fomenting, and that's why he's part of the Republican and calls him like a Republican by proxy or whatever.
On that point, I agree with Destiny. I've affirmed that many times when I was watching the video. He's 100% right about that. Like xQc's entire perception of what's happening here is totally distorted and detached from reality, and he just crumbles every time Destiny would ask him a question like, well, who have you observed? He's saying the entire left is, and then Destiny would just ask him like, okay, give me names, and he just would crumble because he couldn't do it.
Yeah, of course.
But the narrative dominates. Like the narrative takes precedence over. He's just making assumptions. I think he just assumes that it's right because so many other people are saying it. And so like in his space, in xQc space, that's an uncontroversial thing to say, that the left is the real problem here. But he has no idea how to defend that point. When he was challenged on it, he just like crumbled like every time. So
yeah, and I think that all I'm trying to say is that I think Destiny's more on the side of acting like Elizabeth Warren did when she was asked, or that reporter with was it Nancy Mace or whatever her name is, where it's just like you have to make everybody on the right constantly aware that they're being ridiculous. So yes, what Bernie Sanders said is completely valid. Now, maybe, again, you could talk to Desi about this. Maybe he thinks that Bernie shouldn't have done that. And that could be evidenced by what he said before, where it's like, where Destiny did say that anyone on the left should just stop apologizing, essentially, right?
I don't think anybody should apologize. Like, I don't think I should be expected to apologize if some person does a deranged act of violence and they're like a far lefty. Like, I'm not going to apologize for that person. And Elizabeth Warren's take was based as fuck. I completely agree with that. Yeah. Because that was a different kind of context. Like the way that they framed the question to her was a faulty premise to begin with. Like, do you agree with Trump that the Democrats need to turn down the temperature? It's a fucking ridiculous question. She handled it perfectly.
Yeah, and I agree. And that's all I'm trying to tie together is that there might be like a 1% disagreement right now between you and Destiny on this thing, and unfortunately some chatters are trying to blow that up and are gaslighting you into thinking that Destiny's words were more cruel when I don't think that they were. I don't think Destiny's going around saying oh yeah, we need to all just start doing exactly what Republicans are doing to us back at them.
I mean, certainly he was posting some pretty cruel posts here. Hold on, let me find it. Like he was obviously making, like, I'm not going to read these out, but if you go to his Twitter feed, he was obviously making cruel jokes on the day that it happened. Like, why are we even pretending like that wasn't the case?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to pretend that that's not the case. I was just talking about, well, maybe that's what the chatters were trying to go at, is that those posts are okay. And I'm just trying to more tie the specific video to the context of the specific video into the issue that's the video is trying to highlight, which is just that xQc thinks that it's a both sides issue and it's not, broadly speaking, right?
I think we very broadly agree. So thank you. I appreciate you coming in. Having that conversation. Yeah.
No problem. Okay.
Ogre Boy, leave voice. Someone you blocked has joined. If you leave, they will still be blocked. Stay here. Do I have you blocked on Discord still?
If you did, I guess. I don't know.
It depends on how this conversation goes. What do you have to add to this discussion, buddy boy?
So you're getting fucking turbo gaslit right now. And it's whatever, because for the most part, me and you're still going to disagree on a million things into the future and beyond. It's whatever. But anytime that the commentator in question has some kind of hot take, you can always go back a couple of days, because it's not like a lot of this shit is something he comes up with on the fly. A lot of times it's shitty workshops. I sent you a DM. He was saying almost the exact same thing a couple of days before. It was outside of a conversation with xQc, And he's basically saying that anyone that disavows the Charlie Kirk shooting is basically cucked and weak. And he actually even said that when he saw Gavin Newsom do it, he thought it was messed up. Like, this isn't something where he was doing like 5D chess to try to get xQc to understand blah blah blah. No, it's also something that at the end of the day, if you're trying to manipulate the playing field so that the Democrats come out ahead. No, it's just, you should be able to say, like, that's fucked up. He shouldn't have gotten shot. No one should ever do that. No one should do violent shit. Like that. I can say it too, and I even have an outlook where the worst person has at least one person in their life.
Oops.
Way. And I don't want that person to suffer or be sad because they lose the person in their life. Like, you can try to figure out a way to just go, no, that shouldn't have happened. That's bad. I disavow people doing things, and it not be something where you're trying to make the party look good or whatever the fuck. Like, that's really silly. So if you want, when you get a chance, just look at the video clip I sent you. You don't even have to do it on stream, but I just felt like you're someone trying to overanalyze a conversation with xQc to justify what he said. I think is really fucking silly.
All right, I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
All right, take it easy.
One shot. Yep.
All right.
What do you think conservative response to this will be? It's going to be the exact same response that it always is. It's going to be blaming the left. It's going to be a call for more aggressive rhetoric towards the left. It's going to be a call for the left to condemn or disavow whatever the fuck. Anybody on the left that does any sort of disavow whatever bullshit, I think is cucked and weak. I saw Newsom doing it earlier. At some point, if I hear any mainstream conservative say we need to bring the temperature down, then I'll start taking it seriously. But until then, nah, fuck that. I don't think same thing I said. I
didn't actually see Charlie.
One shot. Yep.
All right.
What do you think conservative?
And then, so the actual post from Newsom, I looked up the definition of disavow too. Deny any responsibility or support for, to repudiate. Maybe we're getting pedantic. Like, maybe he has a very hyper-specific thing that he doesn't want Democrats to do. Maybe he's saying, like, don't apologize for on behalf of someone that did this thing when you have no responsibility. Maybe I really don't know specifically what he means. It sounds like he's speaking in a very broad sense. Like, what is he disagreeing with Gavin Newsom? Like, what did he exactly say? The attack on Charlie Kirk is disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. In the United States of America, we must reject political violence in every form. Is that what he's saying? Is cucked?
The response to doing it earlier, it's the left. It's going to be a call for the left to condemn or disavow whatever the fuck. Anybody on the left that does any sort of disavow whatever bullshit, I think is cucked and weak. I saw Newsom doing it earlier. At some point, if I hear any mainstream conservative say, I very, 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 very strongly disagree with this. Very strongly disagree with this.